Go to your audio source.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Testing. There we go. We have audio. Look at that.
I'm not ecstatic about it.
No. Hey, everybody. After a battle with the audio gods, we are now here and on the air.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Hello and
Look, I'm
welcome.
practically hugging you. Iggy has his own zip code.
What do you want me to do?
No.
Welcome to episode 13 of Talking About Werewolves. My name is Brian, ANST Apocalypse. With me is Bucky.
Hello, AVST. Down in the trenches of Storyteller Land.
I'm looking at the picture of what this podcast main picture is, and it's just me looking very disappointed at you two, and I think that's accurate.
That's accurate. And this is Iggy. Say hello, Iggy.
No.
Okay.
He checked seasonal and hardcore. He
Oh,
made this guy.
that's intense. Well, everybody, tonight we're going to cover a bunch of topics. Let me just give you a brief overview of what we're going to be going over tonight. We're going to take a brief lap of what's new in the IC world in the last 2 weeks. A lot of stuff there to talk about. A lot of new and interesting stories being moved forward. After that, we're going to talk about the Children of Gaia. They're an interesting tribe and not always one of the most played. So I think we have some interesting things to say about that. Then we're going to step aside, and in our Making a Better Gaming Community segment, we're going to talk about the future of LARPing. We've got some stuff we want to talk about for that and some ideas of what the next 10 years in LARPing might look like.
Jesus Christ, 10 years.
I don't know what 10 years of reality is going to look like.
I'm going to take my driverless car.
I don't know what the next 3 years of this presidency is going to look like.
Let's
It's
not get
rough.
political.
After that,
Assuming there's still people LARPing in the nuclear post-apocalypse.
we're going to swing back and talk about the Corax, a really great Pharaoh tribe that I think sometimes can get overlooked. And then if we have time, we're going to swing back and talk about Theurges. So, let's get started. Iggy, how you doing this week?
I'm fine. People want us to link the Twitch channel and we're talking about Werewolves Facebook page.
Okay.
We can work on that. So what's topic the first?
I see. What's new in the world? So you missed last local session.
I did miss last session. I was out of town because it was both Passover and Easter weekend.
Wouldn't have mattered if you didn't have friends or family.
That's true.
Step your game up.
That's true. I really need to start
Step your
prioritizing
game
better.
So Iggy, how's your last couple weeks? I see. What have you seen in the world?
I think there's too much shit in the foreground because we seem to be out of focus.
No, you're just fuzzy in real life. If I had to talk about what I saw recently in the game, it's everybody trying to find their footing, which is wild. And then people noticing things. Because when you're trying to find your footing in any situation, you pay attention to yourself and your immediate surroundings first. So it's your character. How do I play my character? How is my character played? How's my character playable? Then it's my pack. How does my pack function? Then it's my set. How does my set function? Now people looking at set positions and looking at how they interact. We had our first real set of politicking going on. We had our first real interaction with a significant NPC in our game. And we had our first real thing where my character's enraged. But me as a player think there's a lot of interesting role-playing opportunities. Somebody did something that my character believes is a full move, and it moved the clock forward somewhat.
Why don't we start with that? The clock has moved. This happened before last episode, but it's always worth talking about. The clock is currently at 11:54:10. For those of you who don't know what the clock is, the Doomsday Clock, is a abstract reflection of the state of the game world. It's currently 11:54 p.m. If it gets to midnight, essentially the world ends. So you were saying somebody locally did something that affects the clock that bugs you?
Yeah, they fell to the worm, and they gave reasons, and we're not going to get into the reasons because it's still a pretty hot-button topic in game. Some characters don't know about it, don't want to give anything away. But they made a choice that they purposely chose corruption. And I think this is very interesting in that one character doing what they think is right. I couldn't not roll my eyes. One character doing what they think is right locally is going to have repercussions throughout the
Globally.
gamescape,
Yeah.
globally. So
Globally,
somebody who's playing in London,
Mhm.
or somebody who's playing in London, Ontario,
Mhm.
or somebody who's playing in, is there a London in America?
I'm sure there was a
So
lot of.
probably
Is
London,
going
New
to
York,
look,
California, and
is going
everywhere
to talk to
between.
their ST, and they're like, why did the world just get, the whole world just got tangibly worse
Threatened
because of that choice?
Mhm. And that's the power that PCs have, of course.
We could just ruin this game right now. Like, if you wanted to be the spoiler character, you could go around and try to end the world. This is too much. There was too much. You can go into fan die on it. Existence was nice. We gave it a fair shot. It's not working out for anybody.
Right.
In
It's
the beginning, the
merciful
world
thing
was
to
made,
stop.
and it's largely thought to be a terrible move. And you can undo that. Now, this character didn't do that for that reason, but this character did something, and the world is now tangibly worse.
Well, I think what's interesting, without getting into the specifics of the scene, because I think it is generally interesting, is a scene came up where 12 characters could have died.
Better.
And
Perfect.
instead of dying, one of the characters fell, and to let them survive.
Classic.
So had they all died, there would have been no movement of the clock.
You guys need go to Wikipedia and look up Masada. That was the right answer.
I tend to agree, but I'm biased. I will say this. I won't say it made the world worse. It put the world in more peril.
No, it made the world tangibly worse. The bad guys are stronger, the good
Hang
guys
on.
are weaker.
The quality of the game is not reflected by the quality of the clock. You can have great game at 11:59 and 30 seconds.
The game might be better as the world gets worse. It's
Right.
not. It's not Werewolf the Hugging. It's Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Oh no!
No, losing is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I'm
suppose.
just
I
saying
don't know.
what,
I've
what,
never done it.
what we mean by better and worse. I'm just saying. There's
No,
different-
no, but for the NPCs,
the in-game world is worse.
if you're in game, if you're looking at it from a player or a character or an NPC, Joe who works down at the barbershop, his world just got shittier and he doesn't understand why. More people
Yeah.
got cancer. More people with cancer got Fomori cancer. Like, the world has gotten tangibly worse because of one person's choice.
Well, they're all one person.
Which is reflective of the whole world. Yes, everybody can make a choice and make the world worse.
Well, the other thing
I will move this bottle. That if you think it will help, Bucky,
Well,
I will throw myself on
The other thing,
screen.
and to touch on something in comment, Iggy is working on the assumption that a Geru PC falling to the worm will move the clock. And I think that is a safe assumption. Of course, that's not something we've directly stated, because it's not publicly known what will move the clock.
Any corruption of any kind is bad. It's on the tin.
As somebody who isn't privy to those things, but my guess, because of just the way it would work, is a bunch of people report what happened. You take the stuff that the good guys did that was good, what the bad guys did that was bad, or when the good guys failed. You balance those out, and then you decide whether or not the clock moves in what direction. Is that
Maybe
essentialist, but is that somewhat accurate?
Broadly speaking, true.
maybe somebody did something awesome that completely offset what Ben did, or if sorry.
Like I went from a whole player.
Hey.
I only mentioned it because he says, I wonder who that could be.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody
How do
did
you
something
say
that completely.
pen in
How do you say
King
bacon? Is that a thing now?
I
Maybe
thought
somebody
it
did
was
something that completely offset what that player did. But if that player hadn't done that thing, the thing that was used to offset them would have made the world demonstrably better.
Yeah.
We have the power to make the world worse. And if we all make the right self-sacrificial choices, we can make the world better.
Very true.
Theoretically, anyway.
On that note, we rolled out our first batch of Pentex plot kits last week. I know some of you have already seen those in your live games. You've seen some of the effects of that.
True.
Yeah, you're welcome. Speaking broadly, without obviously getting into any details, I think it's really fun to give the antagonists conflict and depth and reasonable goals. Speaking again broadly about
Hang on. I helped with some of these reasonable goals. Your mileage is going to vary.
intelligible goals.
Demonstrable. They have
Mm.
demonstrable goals. Some of them more intelligible than others.
But the thing is, in general, is to move Pentex away from being, as a whole, a mustache twirling operation.
Oh, bad guy rodeo?
Yeah,
Of like everything bad in the world of darkness needs to share office space because it's limited. Or, I mean, look.
That's what makes hero. I'm just responding to a comment.
Yeah.
That's what makes heroes heroes. Is that their goals aren't reasonable.
No, that's
You can
that's
be-
the definition of a hero.
But you can be a villain and just have a reasonable goal. I'd like to be rich. That's reasonable.
Mhm.
You
Well-
can't have. It's harder, I think, to be a hero with a reasonable goal. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not as heroic in a lot of ways.
Well, I think in a lot of ways the definition of a hero is someone who's decided that the world as it is not the way they want it, and the world itself needs to change rather than they themselves. So in itself, being a hero means that you're being unreasonable.
It just blew my mind.
There's also the whole, like, the world puts upon you the circumstances in which you can be a hero. You can take your reasonable goal of, like, I just want to live out my life, work my day job, raise my family, etc. And then the world says, well, we're going to interfere with that. You're in any of a million siege scenarios, from dog soldiers to straw dogs or any other
that just makes your goal unreasonable. It makes what was once a reasonable goal an unreasonable goal, because in the situation it's now unreasonable. I'd like my kids to grow up and be happy. Okay, zombies. Now your goal is unreasonable.
No. I'm not talking about like a world shifting thing, but just like using Straw Dogs as an example, the remake anyway, which they're both rough films, but the original is terrible. Somebody comes into. Who am I thinking Straw Dogs?
I don't know. You could be thinking of anything.
But somebody comes into the house and says, "Look, they're accusing me of a crime. They're going to come. They're going to lynch me."
Yeah.
All right, you take them in. It's the same plot of Purge. I mean, a lot of movies have used this plot. You take a morally fine, reasonable stance of like, no, we're going to wait for law enforcement. I'm not going to let you do that. And then it's like, well, then we're going to kill all of you.
Crod, son of Crod, has a really good point. Is, a reasonable goal is I just want to take my wife and kids to the park, and now you're Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Is the...
Classically speaking, the line between a hero and, as Dostoevsky put it, an idiot is very fine.
I can be both.
And often you need to be an idiot to be a hero, and maybe sometimes vice versa. Interesting philosophical argument. The other major plot line.
What was the quote? You want the truth? There's somebody out there who only told the truth. So you wrote a book about somebody who only told the truth. You know what he called the book? The Idiot.
The other major plot line we're rolling out right now, somewhat subtly, is a little bit more about the mysteries behind the Bitten. We're not rolling this plot out in a traditional way with plot kits. We're kind of doing micro-targeting of PCs. So if you see something about it, there's something coming from National, and we think it's going to be cool. But I'll leave it at that for now. Any other IC notes you guys want to cover?
I mean, there's only been
I like
second section.
Well, no, I like that people are finally finding their footing in our local game. We had a couple stare downs. I'm all about that. In our local game, we're also, now that people have the positions, they're actually starting to use the positions, and they're realizing interesting things like the Ragabash can order a pack to do things that has a Ragabash in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Truth Catcher can't. Like, he can't order Philodoxes to do. So, like, if you want, as a Truth Catcher, to get your Philodoxes to do what they want, you have to be socially adept. It's like, I get to decide who judges certain things. Would you like to be one of those judges for certain things? Mm-hmm. You better be in my good graces. So some of the positions don't, like, there's not a one-for-one.
Very different types of
power. There's not a one-for-one at all.
Yeah. Which is good. I think they shouldn't all just be like, this is the different auspice version of the same job 5 times. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the asymmetry of that.
Colin Manley. How does one replace one's tribal counselor? Asking for a friend.
I don't know why he would say that. That's so weird. I don't know what IC could have happened that made him want to say that.
Who knows?
Let's see. I'd like to bring up differences in venues if that isn't an issue for you guys. Ravnos 13.
An issue?
He means like cities. Yeah, they're always going to be regional and city differences. That's something we want.
That's something that would happen in any culture. Yeah, no. Ravnos, expand upon that for me, would you?
I mean, every game is going to be different in the same way that New York's different than Chicago, even though they're both cities.
How do I feel about Foster and taking set positions? Let me fall back on like a military terminology.
Yeah.
Do you know what a brevet rank is?
This is exactly what we're thinking.
Get breveted up, Jesus.
Yeah, you're a brevet rank.
Or field commission.
Well, explain what that means so people have a context.
Well, I forget which ship was it. I'm sure Ben Pierce will tell me. There was a ship in, I think it was the War of 1812, where a second lieutenant ended up in command of the ship. And
my own I have a family member, great uncle Max. He got breveted all the way basically to being an officer, and then knocked right back down to enlisted.
There was a second lieutenant who ended up the commander of a ship and made a mistake as a young man who was now in command of an entire ship.
He was making a pickup on a fallen.
And that's not where he should have been. Yeah. And he was court-martialed. His family's been fighting it for 200 years, and they will never win because he was wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing
That's
is,
not really what the breveting is
but
about.
but by the
But
breveting,
Everybody above him died. So
you're now the captain. You're the old man now.
Yeah.
You're the old man.
Right.
And now if
But what is the major thing? Major's been splattered to bits.
So
What
if,
about the colonel?
if somebody with
Colonel's
an,
dead.
if someone with an actual rank or who has had the rank before shows up, you're back underneath them. But until someone with more rank shows up, you're where the buck stops.
Yeah.
You're the old man. So if you're a foster and truth catcher, that's great. And there's no other Philodoxes that want or can take the spot from you, that's fine. If there are other Philodoxes who outrank you and they don't take the spot and you're a foster, they're shitty. But
that should reflect very poorly
badly
on them
on
because
that.
they're shirking.
But if you're doing the job
responsibilities to
and
the sept.
if you're doing the job and you're all they have, that's fine. And then when an Adrian shows up, if that Adrian doesn't go, yeah, you did really well for your rank and you muddled through and we really appreciate it. Now go sit down.
Yeah. Now this isn't something mechanically we're going to give too much on beyond what's in the book. The book does make references to this sort of thing. Again, this is where your sept laws and your alpha's positions on things and your council's positions on things are where you set the folkways of your own sept. That's not something we're going to dictate, but that's definitely our opinion.
And you know what? If you ask Philodoxes in different games, you're going to get different answers, and that's half the fun. Now, what if let's see, what if
by the same token, you have a different set of laws depending on where you live in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
there's stuff I can do in New York State that I will not do anywhere else.
Right. Like when people ask me about like my legal opinion, I'm like, well, where did this case happen? And they're like, in East Bumbleton in the state of Franklin.
In the 1940s.
Yeah, in the 40s. I'm like, I don't know what those sandwiches do.
I'm not a time traveler.
And the Farah thing is very similar to the Foster. The Foster, if you want to go back to the military example, is a civilian expert who's being brought on because they don't have anybody in uniform who can help out with this sort of thing. But they're not.
I mean the Farah.
Yeah, the Farah.
The Farah is
yeah, so if you have Farah acting as
your Farah
is a civilian contract.
Yes.
Well, no, your Farah is just a different branch. He's like, oh yeah, I guess that's an Air Force colonel. I guess we could follow him. Sure, why not?
But if suppose a Farah has a truth catcher position, they hold the position because the sept decided to allow it. But at the same time, they have no mechanical, actual hard crunch ability.
That Air Force colonel can't tell me to do shit. It's usually a good idea to listen, but he's not in my chain.
It's all about soft power and role
So
playing.
fuck that.
Well, right. Yeah, it's something that occasionally rarely, but some movies get right where they'll have somebody who's like, wait, who are you? You're not
I'm with the FBI. Yeah, jurist my diction, bro.
Yeah,
I don't care.
get out of here. Like, I don't know why you would even think this is a federal thing. Like,
I'm an FBI agent. I'm here to get this dude out of jail. Yeah, no.
no.
Ask me again, and you can share yourself.
Also, isn't it the marshals? Get your writing done, bro.
All right, guys. You guys want to talk about Children of Gaia?
No, but that means we should.
First tribe today, we're going to talk about the Children of Gaia.
Still going pseudo-alphabetically for people who are wondering what our secret system is.
Oh, I see.
What keeps happening?
Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about the audio. There we go. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that.
What was the last thing you heard?
No, they heard nothing after we went to Children of Gaia. So let's start from scratch on Children of Gaia.
I'm not super deep on my COG lore.
I mean,
the
thing most people remember about the Children of Gaia is that they had probably the day one exploit build that everyone saw, which was the Stargazer Affinity build.
Yes.
Which is the Infinite Assist Defender build. So that's that. I mean, mechanically, that's the big build.
Well, not just Infinite Assist Defender, but using that as offense. Because if you're only going to have one pool you're good at, which is going to be dodge, you have to turn that into your attack pool, and the way you do that is with Stargazer 3, with their whole make them hit themselves with their own attack.
But let's talk about who the cogs are. This is a really interesting tribe because they want something most of the other tribes don't want, which is for the tribes to cut this shit out and work together.
All they have to do is kneel. Problem solved.
Exactly. The cogs are always trying to be open to new ideas, challenge institutions. They're an interesting tribe in so much as they're pushing
I like
against the traditional world.
I like cogs because they want to. If everybody listened to the Children of Gaia, I think it would be a lot closer to what some of the player frustrations sound like. Or like, well, why do these tribes have to hate each other? Like, why does that even make any sense? Aren't we all fighting the worm? And like, when you get to that sort of essentialist Child of Gaia argument, it's like, yeah, like I don't really care how Rat feels about Owl. We are all werewolves. We are fighting the worm. We really shouldn't be having these political divides.
I think what also the other thing we always is they're so overlooked as members of the Concordat. When people think of the Concordat, they think of the Crazy Bus, which we've talked about before, where there's all sorts of wacky stuff going on with the Shadow Lords being manipulative, the Glasswalkers being cray-cray, the Stargazers being mysterious, and the Farah being Farah.
And heretical.
And
the Stargazers.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But the Stargate, in a lot of ways, the Children of Gaia are the adults in the room in the Concordat of Stars. They're the reasonable ones. They believe these things. They believe the things that the Concordat is all about.
There's nothing scarier than a true believer.
Yeah, I mean they're true believers, and they tend to be not as ideologically problematic as the Glasswalkers and Shadow Lords can be.
The problem that they face on a role-playing level is sort of the opposite problem that they face on any mechanical level. Because they are the reasonable person in the room.
Right, and that is an interesting RP experience, but sometimes that's not going to be the most exciting thing in the first 6 months.
Right.
You need to build to that being the central and fascinating character, because you're the reasonable one.
You're basically like pro new establishment. You are an establishmentarian.
Though, are they really the reasonable one?
Very much so. I mean,
here's the thing. They are the promoters of the Concordat. In fact, they were like the Shadow Lords and everybody else. They were the diplomats, the face of the Concordat. It's like, we are the reasonable new ones. This is the way that things need to get done.
Yeah.
And it's even mentioned that at certain points they're reaching out to the Farah, great, but they're also reaching out to, quote, other supernaturals, end quote.
Yeah. Which, again, this is why I think their conversations sound like player conversations. Like when you have to RP between a werewolf and a vampire, and both of the players have to be like, so your things which are not werewolves, because I have to pretend not to know that they're werewolves, and you're definitely not a vampire, so we're going to use bloodsucker or lick or whatever, and we're going to try to respect each other's bullshit masquerade and veil because we were written this way, even though everyone knows what everyone is up to the point where, especially in the revised materials, but you had opinions on these things. It's like default. Like, hey, how do you feel about vampires? And under vampires, it was like, hey, how do you feel about werewolves? And it was like, you're not even supposed to know they exist if you read it as written. And yet, you still had to have this sort of bizarre mental gymnastic fiction that you had to work through.
So what's your point on that?
They're out there anyway. Why not talk to the good Fae folk? I mean, that's what your Gorgons are. Human Gorgons are Fae. I mean, that was basically super text.
Well, in a lot of ways, the COG worldview does line up more with the player worldview, as they have more of a modern way of looking at things, more like humans, honestly. Where they're like, why do we have all these intersecting troubles? Why can't you just put the past away? Why does the past have to be imprisoning us?
Well, and on any
why
of
can't
those
we do
metrics,
it better? Yeah.
Can we have wild allies who are at least semi-human? So we should talk to the Fae. Oh no, we can't talk to the Fae. We can't talk to any non-werewolves. You know, the Veil. And they're like, really? Especially back when there was like, Fae Buddy was like a merit for Fianna. It was like, come on, man. Like,
so what you're telling me?
Or currently a merit, you can have a ghost buddy as a strider.
So, yeah, and that's
and the Veil.
And, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like in the way that they're reasonable is undermining core tenets of what makes Garu Garu. They're like, let's just chuck one of our basic rules. Go ahead. Let's just bend it. Well, it's already broken. Let's not mend it.
Who's the veil for? Is it other supernaturals? A dog that I will say never hunted? Or is it for humanity, which is ignorant of all of the supernaturals?
The veil exists as the veil exists because if people get sloppy around other supernaturals, another supernatural is not as beholden to you as another werewolf.
It's true.
So if you get sloppy around the vampires, and they really have had enough of your shit,
yeah,
they'll expose you.
That goes both ways, though. As the killing machines who can operate with the sun up, I mean, there can be at least not cooperation between like vampires and werewolves, but I do think that like.
But that wasn't always the way. And I hate to dip back into the last ed, and I really regret doing so. But 600 years ago, it wasn't the werewolves that always had the upper hand in every situation.
That's true. Well, don't get me wrong. This system is infinitely more balanced.
Yeah, but that's the point. When you start picking and choosing which tenets of the litany to listen to, they're great for drivers of conflict. Like, this is really holding us back.
I think almost every tribe has at least one tenet of the litany that they aren't okay with. And it's funny that it's the veil thing because they don't get delirium. That's still their flaw.
That's their flaw.
Yeah.
They don't think that.
I'm not saying that it's a downside. I'm just saying that their conversations will match player conversations because there's a certain amount of like, why aren't we talking to the vast amount of untapped good guy resources? And solve the problems.
Because they're not related to you. You can't trust them, and you're not sure they're good guys. Hell, we're not sure the guys that we are related to are the good guys.
There's a certain amount of White Wolf conceit where every team has to be split up into 12 or 13 different groups and three major.
We're kind of losing. We're kind of losing the net thread here.
Anyway,
no, that's not a conceit. It's like it's levels of kinship and continuity. Like, I can trust other werewolves to a certain degree, far greater than I can ever trust. Because if I start letting stuff slip in front of vampires, I might let stuff slip in front of a Sabbat vampire. That's not something I want to do. Because I can't tell the fragging difference.
Maybe, I mean, look. I hear you. We got to double back to Cogs.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the cog merits. Their 1 point merit is a +2 wildcard bonus to empathy, leadership, and subterfuge. Can only be used in combat if your legitimate attempt is to end the conflict peacefully. In addition, you take twice as long to affect humans with the curse. That's their 1 pointer.
Okay.
I would take it.
It's okay.
Yeah. Onto my last breath. When using the assist defender combat maneuver, you may expend 2 actions per round to offer defense instead of 1. You may use them if they've already benefited from assist defender combat previously in the same round. So yes. It's
very good.
That's the bodyguard, the cog bodyguard build that goes towards.
Well, because there's gifts that give you more simple actions to assist defender. And basically, if there's a cog in combat, their job, as they've sort of taken with both hands and accepted, is getting in the way of things. Because they're also good at the 3 point merit.
The 3 point merit might, I don't know.
Overpriced.
Most of them are.
Well, yeah, this one I can't imagine ever taking this, but maybe you have a build that makes sense. You're a gifted healer. Whenever you successfully use a gift to directly heal normal or ag, you deal an additional point of damage. You heal an additional point of damage.
Yeah, it's demonstrably one of the worst merits in the game.
I agree.
Because it's only useful if you choose not to spend experience. Because, okay, so for Mother's Touch, it heals 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have this 3 point merit, it heals 2. That's 100% increase in healing. However, if you have, what's the rank 2 or 3 Galliard gift that heals like 5?
Mm-hmm.
If you have that gift, which, again, even if you're Foster or Cleop, is only going to cost you 1 extra Gnosis to use, you get a 20% boost to your healing. That's terrible for a 3 point merit. That's god-awful. Like, once you're healing 3, 4, 5 points of damage, it's a diminishing return.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's just
what's
bad.
the point?
I think if it double
to save Gnosis, take those 3 points of merits, right? Spend 1 of them. Take anything that gives you more Gnosis. Although they're in the Concordance, so they can't take without the 50.
I will say, as a 3 point merit, if it doubled, I think maybe it'd be fair. As opposed to +1.
Doubled might be OP because then you're getting to the 3 or 4 is now healing for 6 or 8, which is like
that
a
really
whole.
Is that really beyond what the healing clouds are doing now?
Yeah, but there's ways to counter healing cloud. There's very few ways to be like you can't actually use your gift. There's like 2 or 3.
All
at
right.
most.
Let's talk-
Multi-genre, maybe 4 or 5.
Level 1, Unicorn's Grace. Expend 1 point of Gnosis and use your standard action to touch a target with 1 step, who currently suffers the effects of a non-supernatural disease or poison, including toxins, drugs, venoms, or poison-like effects.
Non-supernatural?
They-
Garbage.
They then succeed on their next physical survival challenge, which resists that poison. If diseased, your target is immediately cured of any disease that can be currently cured by modern pharmaceutical medications. This gift cannot be used to relieve the character of the penalties of a flaw, such as addiction. In addition, if you use Unicorn's Grace on a target suffering from a non-supernatural disease or condition that cannot be cured, the target is temporarily relieved of any physical pain her symptoms cause for 24 hours.
Just keep touching
There's-
your cancer
there-
to grandpa.
There's a discussion that's honestly going to have a lot to do with what the rules team comes back with when it rules on poisons, toxins, and such. Because right now, you have a knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your knife is quick and accurate.
Okay.
It's a good stabbing knife. There is no poisoned quality,
No,
but poison is obviously a thing. You can dose people with poison.
but there's no quality for it.
Right.
So how do you get in him? Besides biting him as a spider.
No, you just right. Well, that would be supernatural anyway, so that's beyond the discussion of this. But
Well, then you would go
You
for the
just
poison
know.
section. You would have to dose them. You wouldn't be able to
You
inject
just
them.
get them to eat
no, but some of them say on contact, or it's blood, or it's inhaled. So there are some vectors. So you could poison your blade just by putting note, this blade is poison. Or if it's a fetish, you could use utilitarian. It's always dripping with poison, my blade.
I don't think that works though.
There's literally, I've submitted multiple questions on this. It is absolutely completely open. They drop the ball on this like vehicles. I don't want to drag anybody over the coals, but they added a section, didn't really think it through, and then didn't give any mechanics for it. So right now, the only way to dose somebody with knockout is to run around with an attributeless rag. Like, it can't even be a quick rag.
It's floppy.
It is floppy and it is wet. Does this smell like chloroform? And that is the only way to apply any toxin. No, there's people running around with syringes that have 0 qualities. That's nonsense. Clearly, there was some intent to have a richer sub-game about this, and then they just dropped it. And that's fine. But if people can, and there are downsides to poisoning your blade because you can accidentally poison yourself.
Utilitarian is not a damn whatever I feel like. Oh, yeah? I'll take that challenge.
I mean,
Utilitarian is definitely the quality that people
If you
push
ha-
the most. By far.
Their example is having like a drinking flask that's always full. So
That's
having a
magic.
blade that's always poisoned.
Okay,
is-
a drinking glass that's always full is literally a mythic object from Norse mythology. So if that's a bit much, if that's not a bit much,
I
then
think
I
it's a
don't.
hip flask? I don't even know what their example is.
Utilitarian comes down to VST discretion and what they want in their game.
Yeah. But regardless,
A forever poison
you
blade.
can just
But
rub
Poison is a
some-
weapon quality. Poison is not a weapon.
No, it's not a
quality.
weapon quality. It's
But
something
neither-
you
but-
get for free.
But neither
So you're
but
cutting the other way.
neither is a vehicle always having fuel, and that's utilitarian.
Right.
That's
there
not-
are no mechanics. If you
Fuel
want-
is not a
if
quality
you want
for
your
it.
knife
It's not,
to be
but-
poisoned,
but
you
you're
just
using-
say it's poisoned. Period.
Well, we await rules, Colin.
Well, right now I would agree with
Better.
that because there's
Yeah.
no reason why it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I can't.
we
think
wait
of
in
a single
joyful
reason.
hope for the coming.
All right, so
rules
can we
facts.
continue about cogs?
Yes.
So when that happens, it would be more important their first level gift.
All right. Well, how does now that Bucky's got his crunch off? Let's look at some soft RP issues with this.
I think there's a lot
Does
of
this
great
affect
stuff.
age?
It's any disease, right? You mean being Jesus
There-
is kind of a big deal.
No,
RP-wise.
but does it affect age? Because some people believe age is a disease process. I disagree immensely. But like, if you have an older kinfolk
Mhm.
who's suffering from an illness, you touch them every day.
Mhm.
Oh, great granddad's got prostate cancer. No, he doesn't. He's fine.
Mhm.
How long can you keep that going? Since you alleviate him from the symptoms of suffering, does the disease continue to progress?
Oh yeah, that doesn't stop the disease.
Mhm.
Unless it's a disease that modern science can cure. If modern science can cure it, they're cured.
There's-
if you can't, it just delays the symptoms. It's palliative.
No, but here's the thing. Like, does every day this gift get better? 100 years ago, was this gift worse?
Yes,
Yeah.
clearly.
This gift it's always near miracle.
You seem to have the flux, and as of yet, science has no cure for the flux.
Yeah,
So I can't. You're dyspeptic.
so in 1920, nothing about polio. Now,
It's
Polio,
gone.
good.
Polio cured.
so like, does it
The fact that there's anyone still in an
does
iron
it-
lung just
does-
means cogs of it's slacking.
and there are so many people still in iron.
Yeah, I
lungs.
know.
Nobody talks about that. Now,
One was a lawyer.
so does it say cutting edge medical or just medical?
Just current medical.
Current medical. So
Yeah.
who's deciding? Is it cutting edge that matters, or is it just the
If
base
it can be done.
There was a lot of shit that plausibly has happened.
Well, with germline therapy, I challenge you to find me a disease I can't cure by at least transforming you into some sort of rhino hybrid.
Well, I think
Or
there's good stories there either way, and I think that's up for the storyteller.
No, that's what
makes most. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. Is like the
Yeah.
story possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, your kinfolk comes to you. My child has the cancers.
Yeah.
You want to, and nobody, and I know, and I in my changeling game one time we did go down this road.
Yeah.
But in Werewolf they never do. They're too busy fighting mutants to talk about kids' cancer. Is that too dark? Is that too much? I know some people might have.
Well, originally the themes were different. I mean, Vampire was a game of personal horror, and Werewolf was a game of savage horror.
No, I would disagree
They
because
tried to be different flavors.
one of the core themes of Werewolf that I always try to hit home is
Kinfolk.
kinfolk and family, and like trying to maintain a life
I'm your
shit.
kinfolk, Brian.
Yeah.
I have served the clan. I have served the tribe. I have served the nation loyally for years. I have covered every veil breach. I have hidden every body. I have gave my last dollar. My daughter is sick. Save her. If that's not a story, I honestly do not know what is.
Yeah, no, it's legit.
Another thing that's interesting. This is purely. There's no mechanics for this, but the interactions between this and the biting and the bitten sickness is interesting.
Yeah, there's like, I could save her, but then she'll be one of us. It's like, you can't just, after all I've done for you, it's like, and if I bite her, there's no guarantee she'll live. After all I've done for you, I've only ever asked this one thing.
Yeah. There's a great story there.
Yeah.
Number 2, Swallow Rage. Spend a point of Gnosis, simple action, vent 2 points of rage. If you activate this gift while you were in Frenzy, you suffer 2 levels of damage, which cannot be negated, as well as venting. If you're in Anger or Fox Frenzy, you come out of Frenzy.
Is that the only way to get yourself out of Frenzy? Besides Apotheosis of Rage?
Well, you can be out of combat.
No, first of all, there's a million other non-apotheosis and rage ways of getting
Out of Frenzy.
Well, okay.
Not just dumping rage.
Right. See, that's the thing, is that it's still kind of ambiguous once you're in anger frenzy and your rage goes down. Are you still in frenzy?
I would say no.
Well, then this gift is underwhelming.
But it does let you vent 4
It also lets you be near kinfolk when you're freaking out and go, nope, not hurting them. Which is something that other tribes need.
It's okay. It's not a terrible gift. It's just a
lot of what rank is it?
2.
Name some other 2s off the top of your head.
Oh god, Awakened Minor Spirit.
Okay, so how does that compare?
This is garbage.
All right then.
Comparatively?
Number 3, take a bullet.
No.
Expend a point of Gnosis and gain a simple action for the remainder of the turn. This action can only be used to assist defender. In addition, you may move up to 9 steps to reach the target you wish to defend instead of the standard 3. You must be able to reach your target and successfully offer your defense within those 9 steps.
You must be able to, but you don't have to, so you can change your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Abuse.
Charisma focus, you can also take a bullet for social or mental actions.
Yeah.
That's nice. This is a solid one. This is solid.
You get this is what
this is how you
tribe
counter
is built around.
This is how you counter hexing.
You can counter anything with this.
I can also see this one in like a think of a major con scene when you have 2 characters facing off and they're about to throw the fuck down, and all of a sudden 30 cogs just poured in.
It'll never happen.
No,
you can't get 30 cogs.
Yeah. Well, there's some. I'm telling you.
You know what? For a grand
do we have
moot,
a census number on cogs?
Nothing formal.
For a grand moot, there should be there should be teams of cogs just going around telling people to simmer down.
They're pretty much supposed to hang out with like the Black Fears and make sure that the party actually goes off without everybody frenzied and killing each other.
They should just be walking around.
Hospitality.
They should just be walking down. There should be teams of them walking around telling people to simmer down, and you'll never see it.
Yeah. 4 is of course Strike the Air. This is the one everyone sees as the money one.
Yes. Whoa.
Expend a point of Gnosis as simple action to center yourself. Until your next initiative, so long as you do not attempt to initiate an opposed challenge, double your dots and dodge. If you initiate an opposed challenge, it ends. Attempting to assist defender does not count. Perception focus.
Right, and obviously that dovetails with Strike the Air, which is when I dodge, you get hit. But I didn't have to initiate that
This
challenge.
is Strike the Air.
No, but with Stargazer 3, which is, what's it called?
I don't know.
I forget.
At any rate, it doubles your dodge, and with the perception focus, it lasts in number of turns equal to your awareness skill. Pretty great. I mean, it's a great skill.
Can you at the end of it? Can you just redo it?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it
then
just
doesn't
saves
matter.
you
It's just
notice
a no
and simple actions. It saves you notice and simple actions.
You've got plenty of simple actions.
You've
Go
got
back.
tons of
But considering you're gaining like 7 dodge, that's incredible.
and upwards of
Next up is Serenity. Spend a point of gnosis in standard action to speak a few calming words. If you succeed, the target loses 3 rage to a minimum of 1. If they're any type of frenzy, they're no longer in frenzy. Exceptional, they lose 4. Appearance focus, they can't go into frenzy for the next hour.
Hey, red talons.
Simmer
Sit
down.
down.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like this. If anything, I would have liked to see their power be just even more devastating.
Mhm.
Because look at it this way.
Mhm.
Wait, how long does the you can't frenzy thing last? A scene, an hour?
Hour scene, I think it's an hour scene.
You can pause the newborn cub somebody, right, and basically make them not a werewolf for a round-ish, sort of. You can make somebody not be able to spend willpower for a couple turns. I would have just liked an entire rage dump. That would have been great. Feel like F your rage track. You're just
For level
reset.
5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go start again.
Yeah. Especially, like, it's good. I mean, okay, let me put it this way. It's not bad. It's not their level 2, where not only is it underwhelming, but also damages yourself because they felt afraid that too many people would take a merit to pull themselves out of frenzy. And it came about hanging out in packs.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a problem?
So, that's the cogs. Final thoughts on cogs?
Still not impressed.
They're the best bodyguards. You need to move over a bit.
Sorry.
I keep getting crowded out of the goddamn frame.
Ooh.
Dude,
If you ruin my wife's crystal, I don't think I can save you.
That's fine. I deserve what I get. At the
I like cogs. They fill a lot of interesting roles.
I can imagine a lot of really great characters as cogs.
I would. I
Yeah,
like
a whole bunch
lot.
of NPCs that people will see
No.
once.
Great. There's great angles for role playing.
Yeah,
Especially with the intersecting problems and the tensions in the nation right now. They stand against that, and a lot of players want to diffuse those tensions. And I think the best way to do that is through the Children of Gaia. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff.
they can play a very, very important role, especially in this game world. In this book.
Anybody can play a very important role. That's insane.
The problem is, they were not given the tools to matter.
There you go.
I would say that their kid is weak.
Their kid is super weak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're an unimpressive healer in a world that has infinite healing for lower level gifts. You're good at getting hit instead of somebody else, which makes you expendable.
But here's the
Like-
no. Bodyguarding is great, except that a lot of the times the end all be all way to settle things in Garu is
It's going to be on the mound, and you don't matter.
you can't help your friend on the mound as a bodyguard.
Well, let's put it this way. Would you rather have a Fianna tank bodyguard or a Cog tank bodyguard?
I don't want a bodyguard. I want a cannon.
Yes, but assuming you need a tank, I would still go Fianna, I think.
No, for somebody
Are they only-
interdicting me not getting killed in a scene, I would take Cog.
Wait. Are they only protecting me? I'm not worried about the rest of my friends.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's the question.
But if they're just soaking it, they're soaking.
If they're just
Either way, I'm
if
taking
they're
Cog.
just protecting me, then fine. I'll take
Cog
I'll
are the
take
best
Fianna.
bodyguards.
If they're protecting multiple people in my pack, then I have to go Cog.
All right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, no one can save you from the mound.
Yeah. That's fair.
I'm gonna get up to the mound and I'm gonna dodge, knowing that I'm gonna be challenging a Cog to the mound. I'm gonna get an unerring fetish or get trick shot, and you're just gonna
Have
get
someone remove their dodge skill before combat.
hit. Yeah, and
Oh.
you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Sooner or later. If you're
Well,
only
there's too many ways to hit somebody and ignore dodge.
no, just stop.
Social powers.
Hey, stand still.
All right. Moving on to our next segment, we're going to talk about building a better LARPing community, and today's topic on that is the future of LARPing, specifically the out-of-character mechanics of LARPing. Just as a way of introduction, despite the fact that we've only had one new edition in the last 20 years or so, the game has really changed despite that with the development of network play. While online play was, of course, a thing back in the day, it's...
No. Pump that brakes in there. I'm going to jump in real quick.
Okay.
Online playing was a thing. But this is back in the era where the internet was a clan advantage.
Right.
There's there's a whole different era now where everybody has the internet and the sum of human knowledge in their pocket if they just stop looking at cat videos.
Yeah.
Unfettered access to it.
Constant, unfettered access. Everybody talks about in other games how this would affect the Masquerade or the Veil. But what they should really be talking about how it is you could instantly coordinate massive plans using all the stuff from Clausewitz's On War to make sure your shit is on point. Like
Also, everyone has a copy of Clausewitz on War because
it's right there.
And the internet.
Yeah. So, like, everybody has reading lists. I can't imagine a den mother who doesn't issue reading lists to her Garu.
That's good.
You will have these books. Every library is perfect. And that's in-game.
Mm-hmm.
Out of game, we're more tech savvy than our werewolf. Like, I know the players who play the Glasswalkers are more tech savvy than some of the Glasswalkers could feasibly be.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're still struggling as a community to figure out the best way to integrate all these networking possibilities. I think we kind of lost ourselves in the 24-hour gaming cycle. The idea that instead of just having the game at session, you're actually always playing the game in your free time whenever you choose to pop in and pop out.
Right, when you engage with it.
Yeah, and I think if that's available when you want it, I think that's a value add. What it got to be a problem was that we and by that I mean all of us in the community, started making it a required part of the game.
You can't be truth catcher, you're not on the forums enough. I mean, the sentence like that is crazy.
Yeah. Or you need to follow what's happening on the IC list every day and keep up, otherwise you're going to be out of the loop.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
How are you even a heartbeat?
Right.
Like,
so even now we're still trying to find the balance with that, just that technology. Over the last 15 years, we're still struggling with it.
Yeah.
But it has opened up a depth of interconnection and role-playing that wasn't possible before. Look at just the start of this chronicle with everyone reaching out for connections and networking their characters online before the game's even started, building webs of connections that enrich and add depth to their role-playing. And other things we're trying to push now. You see things like if you have two games running at the same time, just calling somebody else up at another game as something is happening. That verisimilitude of that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like the immersion comes with that is great. So I think that's effing baller. So the question is, where do I see this arc moving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Pokemon Go, Habitica, combined.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. We're going to be talking about this in detail. I drew up some rough sketches about what a Mind's Eye Society or LARPing network of your choice app might look like if it was done with an eye towards improving play and making it approachable. One of the big walls of approachability we still have is combat. You get players who show up who are into the role-playing, they're into the costuming, they're into the story, they're loving all of this, but then combat starts and they end up sitting around, and some players really love the shit out of that, and no one wants to take that away from them. But for everybody else,
for most people, given that we are walking around on average with like dual to quad core to octa core fucking smartphones, the whole thing could be automated.
More computing power than what put a man on the moon
many
in the
times
palm
more.
of my hand.
Right.
Why am I still throwing rock, paper, scissors and not just getting results that affect my... Why am I still... Why is there still room for error? I'm using error when I mean cheating.
Well,
why is there still room for error?
Why is it in every combat that we have to... Every single combat, to some degree, has a rules question. Every single combat in-game generally has at least one rules question. Because the ST's in a hurry, or the players are trying to push the envelope and the ST isn't sure.
Well, the gamers, the game the system.
And the gamers game the system, yeah. I mean, all of these things happen
amount of
every
that's
single combat.
acceptable.
Pokemon Go, it has a standard way you interact with VR that everybody understands, and it's the same across the entire world.
Pokemon Go is half the answer,
and Habitica is the rest, I think.
So let me just put up a...
I disagree with the Go thing. I think...
Well, let me hand if you want to. It's America. I'll feel for your right to be wrong.
Yeah.
The role-playing aspect, the creative part of it is the role-playing bit, not the necessarily as much as you interact with your phone.
Sure. So the idea is, how can we make this transparent, not get in the way, and only have it really be a thing when it's helping make role-playing better? So here's what I'm thinking. So here's a brief model. Here's just this is all very whatever. Like, I'm just fucking around with just boxes. But these are sample boxes for in-game. So you open up your app, and this is your home page. And so you open your app, here you are. You have access to your character sheet. You have access to what I'm calling parlor mode, which would be an add a physical game session. You would have that mode. And then open world would be the downtime mode where you're doing things actually out in the world.
Does it have a health bar?
Not necessarily a health bar, but you'd have health levels, just like you normally would.
Because the first thing I thought of when you said that in the parlor mode is it is impossible to affect a sneak attack without somebody. This could remove metagaming. Like
It could definitely help address
yes, like
it.
if Bucky's sniper shotting me from half a mile away, I shouldn't know it's Bucky throwing the chop, and it doesn't involve an ST.
Or immediately afterward, the boot squad that comes to murder me because everyone magically knows I killed your tune.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
all of a sudden my tune starts taking damage,
Yep.
and I do not, or like all of a sudden a text box blurps up. You now believe this to be true.
Yeah. Now, when I'm usually thinking about this stuff, I think this stuff works best with a heads-up display. The buy. I know, but the buy-in for that isn't there, and I don't think it's going to be anytime
Still
soon.
be fine with just your phone
I think
vibrating.
it's right around the corner.
I think it's right around the corner, but it's not at the point where everyone's going to have one in the next couple of years, whereas almost everyone has a smartphone right now.
Hi Ben, how's it going?
Except Ben. So here's some options. These are icons.
I'm pretty sure we can get Ben a smartphone fund.
I have like 4.
You
lying
won't
around
use
the
it.
room. I know.
It's his intransigence in regards his
His
Luddite,
albatross.
yeah, his Luddite desires.
Okay, so
Here he's watching the stream on Twitch.
Yeah, but he won't do it on a
Levels of
smartphone.
irony.
all right, so let's talk about this is parlor mode. So you're logged into a session. The first what you're gonna do when you walk into a room when you're in a session is just walk by the QR code by the door, blast it with your phone.
Or
You're now-
anything better than a QR code.
All right,
Yes.
it's an example.
Yes.
You are now immediately logged into the scene. So you are now physically in the
If
scene.
you scan the QR at the end of the session, badoop, XP comes up on your sheet.
Things like that, yeah. So you
So
you
much
sign yourself into the
automation.
sheet. So here's what you see when you walk into this scene. This is assuming a vampire game. So it tells you where you are, I see. Yeah, I know. It tells you where you are, so you're at Albright Knox. And then you see ambient effects. So you know that Johnny Rocket has Majesty up right now. So you just know that. That's an effect that everyone sees.
So you'd have different QR codes for different locations, like sub QR codes.
Yeah, assuming it's...
So like room 13 is Albright Knox. So as you walk in, you scan room 13, and then it tells you Albright Knox.
And you are now logged into that scene. Exactly.
And now you can't go, like, you could set delays where you, like, travel distances where you can't just jump into another scene without so then now it's
Whatever the storyteller wants, you could code that. You could work that in pretty straightforward, I would imagine. So you see a straightforward effect. The other thing we see is Alice. Now that you've walked in, you see that Alice wants to telepathy you. Click to resolve the challenge.
no, someone wants to telepathy you because you hear the
No,
knock.
I
and
think
you
with
don't
the
know
new
it's
one.
Alice.
With the new
I
book.
think you do.
You do know it's
You
Alice.
know who's calling you. Yeah.
Ah, that's garbage.
Yeah. So click to resolve the challenge. So you click. It throws the chops. It gives you an option if you want to throw the retest. You say yes or no. The chop is done. You get the result.
And it keeps track of the fact that you spent the willpower.
It keeps
Right,
track
the
of
phones, the modern phones have the computing power to work out rock, paper, scissors, and a retest.
If we have to do that kind of hard mechanics in the cloud,
I don't
we
know.
can
I'm
do
not
that.
a scientist. I don't know if I can keep up.
There's
With
at least
pages of miles of code.
there's at
required.
least 3 numbers. You need a math magician.
And so you also see the flag that this is an Elysium. So, and then you have a button to use a power.
Wait. If your character had common sense, or for an example, if you were attempting to throw a chop, would it throw up a flag that says "Remember,
Warning,
you're in
this
an
is
Elysium"?
That would be cool.
Common sense, sadly.
So there'll be a button to
America.
flag to use a power, a button to flag a storyteller. But otherwise, you can put your phone away. It'll vibrate if somebody wants to chop you. Just roleplay.
I want to time out for a second.
Yeah.
Somebody said, and I said, "Is this this all is no? Where is it? People looking at screens more than they already do. Think of all the time somebody has spent flipping through a rules book.
Oh yeah, I don't think those are incomparable. And the time stoppages to see what a retest
Take
is
all the time
you've ever
to throw
spent.
that out, and all the times where it's like, what is the retest for this? And throw that out because your screen will do it for you.
And
I would. You could get this.
More
On,
room
you
for
could get this
roleplay.
on your watch and just look at the person. Eventually, like I can.
you can do this on smartwatch. Yeah.
I can play some video games on my phone without actually looking at them.
Well, and that's the thing. Is the idea is not to create an app
That's for the game.
It's for the
to
game.
let you actually roleplay.
This is all the background. This is doing all the heavy lifting in the background for you. So you go into a scene, As you're scanning into the scene, you see the active effects. You're now in the scene. Put your phone away. It will vibrate if it needs you, or if you need storyteller, pull it out and hit storyteller. Done.
You know what'd be really funny?
People pull out their sheets and nobody says, "Well,
Whoa.
you're spending too much time looking
staring
at
your
paper."
paper. And you know why? Because people are so they've accepted paper as a fact of life. And I think people need to accept the fact that screens are the new paper and just let it go.
I mean, I'm not saying this is the approach that has to be used, but this is definitely an approach that I think would work.
I think it's going to happen.
It must happen.
Somebody's hopefully already developed.
Nothing I'm mentioning here hasn't already been done in other programs.
It must happen. In 15 years, imagine trying to get a 20-year-old person to sit down and pour through a 700-page tome. It will not, for a game, it won't happen.
We ran not for that long, but we kept the Shadowrun game alive using just Roll20. It's just free. It's out there. It's more of like a white mat for tabletop gaming, but there's no reason that there aren't these applets to chop for you. And the only level here's the biggest thing for me is, since you can't cheat or fudge and you know that your health levels are being kept track of and whether or not you have a skill, there's a tremendous resistance to the whole concept.
I'm not saying that everybody who's against this is a cheater. I'm just saying every cheater is against this.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because you keep the sheets are kept server side. You don't even have a copy. Your actual sheet isn't on your phone.
Hell, you could not know what your sheet is.
Yeah.
You could just not know. It's like, I put in experience. Where do you want to put experience? I want to put it towards this thing.
Yeah.
You could pick up two smoke.
You could though.
You could pick up two smoke, and you know what?
Actually take amnesia and play it.
and you can have, and your storytellers could do things like, or you sign into the Elysium. Great, your phone now plays the song that they want to set the tone.
Yeah, you can set up. You could theoretically set up things like that. But the idea is that you glance at when you walk into the scene. You put your phone away. When you need to do something that would require the rules, a chop, or a storyteller, you just pull it out, you click, and you're done.
Right.
Or your
As
phone,
far as
if someone
rulings are still from the ST.
if someone
They're like,
initi-
no, you can't do that. Then
if
you
someone
can't do that.
and you can have an ST override. If somebody initiates a chop with you, your phone buzzes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, tell you what, people are getting texts. I right now my pack uses Facebook Messenger for MindLink. Whenever we're in different scenes, if we have MindLink up, we're Facebook Messengering each other periodically, because it says that MindLink has you a little bit distracted, and a little bit distracted is looking at your phone.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
The
perfect,
modern world.
and we use it constantly. So people are already using their phones to simulate aspects of the game. We're just doing it sloppily.
The other thing that I would love to do is one thing, especially in Werewolf, we lose in our downtime scenes, is we lose an interaction with the world. And let's use what Pokemon Go gave us and bring that back. As an example, here we have a phone in open world mode. Obviously, it needs the location on your cell phone. It will then tell you your general region. You are in South Buffalo. This area is claimed by the Fianna. Now, if this was a vampire, it would tell you that, hey, you're in an area claimed by these guys. So you might not want to log in with your character in those places. Something to keep in mind.
Right, and alternatively, you don't actually need to be in those places to log in with your character.
Well, the idea would be that you would have to be at those places.
Oh well, no. There's I disagree.
Well, let me show you where I'm going with this.
Also, it'd be hilarious if your STs are like, if anybody logs into this location, it's gonna beat my phone and they're gonna get the random attack X. That'd be awesome.
I'm gonna cover that.
Oh, okay.
But as an example, so for instance, the patrol the rack or bond button would be you'd go to the physical place or whatever everyone agrees out of world where it reflects that place.
Whatever place has the QR code that you scan that you're going to be there.
We don't need a QR because you're in a map, so you can use GPS. The reason we have to use QR codes in locations in buildings is because it's just not precise enough.
So are we playing the 24-hour thing where if I actually go and log in character at the Albright Knox, the Toreador are going to be like, dude, what the shit on the 13th?
Well, you'd have to limit open world actions, but I'm going to cover that. So for instance, you could click Patrol the Rack or Bond. This would bring up a menu, which I'll show you in a second, which is basically, okay, walk 5K. And by walking that 5K, you're reflecting that you're patrolling the Bond or the Rack.
Only if I can hatch my Pokemon egg will I do so.
Well, you're effectively... I'll show you that in a second. You can also pull up your Explore map, Explore button. Explore mode would be more like Pokemon Go, where you're just wandering around the environment. And if you happen to come to an event or a location the storyteller has set up, it'll bing your phone, and that event will start. And you also see a news pop here that Bob is at Delaware Park. He needs help. He's hiding from Black Spiral Dancers.
Sucks to be Bob.
So out of character, there's a player currently in Delaware Park.
Can you send them a text that says sucks to be Bob?
You probably could click that and send them a message.
Telepathy, MindLink, sucks to be you.
Yeah. So that player right now in the world, live right now, is physically in Delaware Park. and then you see that you have 3 open world actions left. Today, monthly, something like that.
You know what?
I think
I disagree firmly with Ravnos. He says, sounds neat, but it's unapplicable for me as I play in PR and live in Texas. Not at all. Your storyteller could send you the codes to log into different locations, and all of you could see on your... It would actually help you play VR. It would help you play, as in the virtual realms.
Where I disagree
Virtual-
is this is 2 different apps. There's an app that automates the onerous side of role playing.
Yeah.
And then there's an app for the people who want to make augmented reality a bigger part of gaming.
Dark Puppy,
But
the
they're-
question isn't what it costs, because it doesn't exist yet. This is a spitball.
Oh no, we're not actually selling.
we're not
anything.
selling
We're just
you
talking about what should be developed, I guess.
What we're guessing...
Someone may be developing it. I don't know.
If we don't develop this now for MES, we're going to be for Werewolf and Vampire. We're going to be piggybacking off of it for something that's developed for a Nordic LARP, for Bicoline, for a bunch of other LARPs that exist.
Right. The thing is that while I think in AR gaming is great, there is the role playing thing of like my character needs to be downtown because my character lives downtown. I don't live downtown. I'm not going downtown just to do character things.
Boop.
With
Thanks for the QRST. My phone thinks I'm there.
That's what I was talking about.
But no, well, the thing is that what you would want is you wouldn't want to make people say go to the worst part of town and wander around.
No.
You would have agreed locations that, this park or this art museum.
I see that as a
You
BART
love
access.
walking around and wandering.
Yeah, and you like
almost
geocaching.
pathologically.
And I hate both of those things.
If we want to make this more accessible, some of our players can't walk long distances.
Let me get on that.
Impress me.
But first of all, that's the thing with Pokemon Go right now. We wanted to use Pokemon Go as a model, and so I'm using Pokemon Go as a model. There are other models.
No, we can use Pokemon Go as a model, and we can include spoofing because that exists.
Yeah,
we can easily
because
spoof
it's role playing. It's literally playing pretend.
At any rate,
It's
so
just, it wouldn't be cheating if your ST says you can go ahead and log in downtown.
at any rate, so in this one, you're moving your distance. You're patrolling the bond. You've moved 1.5 out of 5K. And this can even just be a walking thing that is triggered wherever you are. It doesn't have to be the physical bond, but whatever. Anyway, you've gone 1.5 out of 5K. If you hit all 5K today or this month, you would get a fleeting status for the action you took to protect the cairn, for instance. And then every once in a while, a random event could pop up. For instance, a conspicuous spirit comes up to you and asks for help.
Now, is there a way to make this accessible to people who can't walk 5K? Could we make it so that it's the time spent logged on?
I mean, you'd spend the time spent. I mean,
Well, unless you're always on.
Again, we're using the framework of Pokemon Go for this.
Sure, absolutely.
There are other approaches that could be more accessible.
Sure.
This is a proof of concept, not necessarily saying what has to be done.
Yeah.
But this is something that could be done, and you could do things that don't make people move around to get effects.
Yeah.
This is a proposal that would use Pokemon Go mechanics.
All right, great.
Yeah. Okay.
No, because it's a concern being brought up constantly.
And it's absolutely.
So, where's another idea? I like the idea of your ST being able to give you events and things popping up for you. It's like you walk 5K, message your ST. Like just message your ST, and then you've got a cut scene in, or you found an item, make a chop.
But why even abstract it? The ST could just record audio or video that's triggered by those things.
They could.
You don't have to do that. So you can. But at any rate, continuing on with the Pokemon Go example. A confused spirit has asked you for help. A forest spirit, confused and lost, asks you to take it back home. New destination, Tiff Farm Nature Preserve. You have 24 hours remaining. This will consume one open world action, and you can click to pass this event to another player.
And how do I delegate this? Our player base that's commenting right now is terribly concerned about the almost ableist. And you've said it 6 times. And I get that you're using Pokemon Go as a framework.
Yeah.
So turn to the camera and tell them that this is just a framework.
It's just a framework. This is just a framework and an idea. It's not saying this is anything that would ever actually be done. However, I think it is very interesting to discuss these things. And if we need to be able to have these discussions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And there are other things that you can do. We can take this from other VR games. There's VR. Have you seen the VR card game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a billion things you could do. But the idea here that we're going with is leveraging more into the open world, because overall, beyond our population of gamers, this is where LARPing is going.
Yeah.
is moving into using the real world as the pre-built world of the game.
Well,
Because
it gives
the real
people
world-
that 24/7 game scratch thing.
But
I think
the other,
that
but
the intermediate steps between those 2 points are, like we had Grapevine, and now we have multiple online databases where you and your ST can have access.
And in the end, we chose Google.
Right, and we've got Google Docs. We've got a lot of ways to share information. So I think
let me just finish with the open world stuff, and we can swing back to the parlor mode stuff because I know you want to talk more about that, and I dig that.
Well, I mean, sure, okay.
Can I just Okay, so the idea would be an event pops up, and the event is you need to travel to this location, and that will bring the spirit home. Or you could pass it to another player. Maybe you can share the benefit. Nice, easy thing. Much like in Pokemon Go or in other open world games like Ingress, it creates an objective where you would travel to in the real world, trigger it, and get a penny. Here's another example involving combat. This would be Bob trapped at Delaware Park. He's hiding from Black Spiral Dancers. So you can show up and donate actions to help Bob escape. Or
Bob.
You can open battle with the Black Spiral Dancers with the other players here. And it lets you know what other players are here. Or you can do nothing and just leave because you're not engaged with the BSDs right now. He got an event where he's tricked.
Can I help the BSDs?
I'm assuming if you open battle, you can choose who you want to help.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So that'd be a nice thing to do. And again, real world location. Okay, back to parlor mode. You are currently at Bob's house. So you scan into Bob's house. Ambient effects. You see immediately that the air is thick with blood. And this is just another example of a parlor mode scene. As you can see, basically the same effects as the first one. Use a power, flag storyteller, click to resolve challenge. Then we'll go more into storytelling mode.
What do you think the problems with VR are?
VR is nothing. VR is the problem with VR is you have to bootstrap an entire world into existence that can be as rich as the primary world. Otherwise, it ends up being hollow. Augmented reality, on the other hand, which is leveraging the existing world, is boss because most of your game design is done by reality, like layouts of cities, concentrations of things. The things that Pokemon Go and Ingress use in an augmented fashion could be leveraged towards a more role-playing system. So, storyteller, your storyteller can go parlor mode, open world.
This is gonna happen.
Download pockets.
I mean, like at a certain point, this game has to happen.
So here we can see the storyteller is in parlor mode. So he can see where all his players are right now. He can see what scenes they're signed into. He can toggle himself to be running an NPC. He can flag his active storyteller, and he can see any pending requests from players. Right there. He doesn't have to be in the building. Your storyteller running the scene doesn't even have to be there.
God, it'd be nice if the stories, because I know a lot of people who want to storytell, but they can't always not be at work that day.
Yeah, and going back to parlor mode. This is just going back to parlor mode. Where this is the more approachable traditional LARPing view, where you're using this to upgrade
This supplements
the traditional
the
LARP.
game that you have.
Yeah, as opposed to
The AR game is a totally different game.
I don't know if it's a totally different game. I think in a lot of ways it's the game that already exists. It's just not being executed.
You know what would be hilarious? You know how like there's when you play Pokemon Go, you can switch it to camera mode, and you can see the Pokemon in the real world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could switch it to camera mode if you had Google Glass, and you could see somebody says, "Oh, my character goes to Krynos," and you see a Krynos overlay over the character.
I mean, the other ideas you have, if you're talking more about a true augmented reality, is you would have your Werewolf the Apocalypse overlay for your glasses that would give you all this information, and you'd be able to see the BSDs in the world right there, and that would be your open world. Or in Parlor, you do the same thing.
Turn a corner, see a BSD that's only in your glasses, spaz out.
Or a player who's not even in the building can tell it in.
Right.
There you go.
But those are all concepts that are not near future. Those are a little farther off.
I think the automation is near future.
Oh, the automation.
Near
Oh,
future.
no, everything here can be done now. That's why I limited it to myself too. So again, storyteller mode again. The storyteller could sync his plot lines with a national database. He could download new events, which he could assign out into his game world or into his parlor. Same thing with regional. And he can also import his local NPCs and plot lines from his desktop to his phone.
got to be easy for you to play your NPCs in another game. When your character who that NPC has a hard on for decides to go to Florida for a weekend, and all of a sudden they see the NPC follow them there. It's like the bad guy, their persistent parents show up. It's like those really are persistent parents.
Yeah, I think looking at the overview, the parlor mode of the pitch really supports what we're currently doing. It would give us a little more time to make it work into a new generation. But the open world stuff is where the hobby is going. With the big AR live action role playing games that break mainstream, will be leveraging the real world in that fashion.
I don't necessarily. I'm not positive that MES or White Wolf LARP will make the leap, but I am positive that the games that don't make the leap are probably going to get left in the dust.
I agree.
Adapt or die, baby.
But that's speaking longer term. Short term, medium term, the parlor mode would be an excellent improvement over the current. It would be a huge quality of life.
I challenge anybody with a camera to record your session in your main room or wherever you have it, your main area. Record it, and then put a counter on the amount of time somebody spends staring at a sheet or staring at a book, and then come back to me and tell me that we can't stare at phone screens because it ruins immersion. Or it ruins a social
rules
scene.
Arguments.
Yeah, or just the amount of time spent on rules arguments. You
Or
would
not being in character.
You
That's
would
the
say,
one.
let's
talk about the elephant in the room.
Let's take the not being a character and throw it to the side. The amount of time people spend staring at a tome, staring at their sheet, looking to each other, staring back at their sheet, and then pointing to stuff and marking stuff down or marking stuff down.
Oh, I'm with you. I would look. I hope somebody. We've been having this conversation for years, so we're sort of.
Yeah, this is the more toned down version of what I usually discuss when I'm drunk, because I really pulled away from the AR angles and tried to go to that minimalist. But just a version that gets rid of the rules arguments and gets rid of all that shit and leaves role playing and acting. I think and you still get your combat fix. You can still push buttons to slap people.
I still believe me. The benefits of the mechanical system was never the act of throwing rock paper scissors. I don't think anybody was like, that's what puts chills down my spine.
And how many players still throw rock paper scissors? How many use dice?
I mean, there's
rollers,
dice,
spinners,
etc.
I use rollers.
Cards.
I use dice.
Whatchamacallit? The
It's GPS so synced that if you take more than your 9 steps, it kills your character. Motherfuckers.
But regardless, we've been having this conversation for a while. So when news came that Paradox bought the whole thing, I was like, "Oh, Paradox. Well, this has to be in the fucking pipe."
Yeah,
because that's what Paradox does.
Yeah, and again, you don't have your phone. The phone is nothing. The phone gives you no information. If there's not a chop being thrown at you, or you're not logging into a new scene.
Do you know
because people keep
do you want to know part of their concern?
Yeah,
walking.
No, it's none of that. You're not seeing the forest for the trees, bruh. You're ANST APOC. They think this app already exists, and you're soft selling it to them, and they're like, "This is going to be required in a month."
No, this is what.
None of this exists. We're just talking about where gaming is going.
Let's get this straight.
I'm sorry. Elements of this exist on like 10 platforms all gamers use.
And
someone should
push them together.
Yeah. But this isn't like a thing.
At no point would I be soft selling something that required cardio. Slow that down.
Just buy a computer and play online. You don't have the whole point is to preserve
live action role-playing. Or like everybody in the PR game. Did we just shit on every virtual player with a sentence like that? No. I'm saying them. Some people don't have the physical time to go to a LARP, and it's fine having people who can LARP or having a virtual LARP. That's fine.
Are we trying to open access or remove it? Well, the AR game would open access, saying that you have to be physically present and staring at somebody when you're actually staring at paper and books. It seems like that's what's more limiting, especially reading 750 pages, understanding all of it, possibilities for misunderstandings in regards to the rules.
I just want the app for sheet maintenance, to run combat, to tell events, like all the things you're talking about augmenting reality. And the first...
Only the Concordia can use this.
If this big book, if Werewolf and BNS and Paradox wanted to get gamers down with this, they would have an app where there's an ST, an X number of people have ST access because you just set it up. And just like people who have apps for playing One Night Ultimate Werewolf, it just walks you through the goddamn game, you click which player you are, etc. Or Hearts, or any of a million games where you just set seats and whatever. And then it just automates the onerous things. And then things that normally didn't matter, keeping track of healing and health, keeping track of willpower.
Keeping track of the rage track would be something so easy for a
keeping track
computer.
of the rage track. Keeping track of all these things that... There are fewer things now in this game, in BNS. Before, the solution was just everybody min-max traits, because traits were just too hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Which...
That's adorable.
Oh, man. I still get a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah, I mean, do I think this is something MES is going to go with? I don't think it's something that's going to happen, but somebody's going to do it.
Paradox, right? And well, they're already pushing their like interactive novellas.
Whoever does this and can make live action role playing. Because here's the problem. This is why we're behind the Nordic games in popularity. You want to know why the Nordic games are more popular than we are? Because you can go out there and hit somebody with a bat, and you know the rules. I mean, it's more complicated than that slightly.
Wait, oh, you mean Boffer LARPing?
No, well, Nordic and Boffer, yeah. Is that's why they're ahead of us. The reason our genre, our community is smaller than those other communities and less in the mainstream is because of the rules.
Those rules are a bar to entry. Everybody's talking about how and they made it kind of it's almost like, and I understand the concept of ableism in the Pokemon Go version of the thing that he mentioned as a concept, not as an actual thing. I can understand bars to entry being resisted. I'm against bars to entry.
It's a huge bar.
Yeah, but that book is a bar to entry.
Who has the book right now?
I don't.
People who...
Wait, no, I do, but I...
You have a PDF, so we're all looking at our phones.
I had the book printed out at my own expense from the PDF.
No, but I'm saying, who has Mastercard? Who has the book right now? People who back the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, the physical book, yeah.
People who how much does it cost to get a copy of the book? Or a hardcover copy? Or whatever.
A decent amount, depending on how much you pay.
So that's a bar to... MES membership, that's a bar to entry.
I mean, that's
knowing the rules. Well, I'm not saying that it's... Some of these are very low bars to entry.
Multiple low bars to entry.
$20 a year? I can't think of anything that costs me less in my life.
Well, considering the Nordic LARPs tend to charge a lot more than we do, because they offer an experience that we don't offer.
But that's a single moderate bar to entry, as opposed to multiple low bars to entry.
Right. Exactly. There's one bar. You pay, you show up, you LARP. There's no reason that our community has to fall behind the Nordic community if we take some steps to integrate technology to get rid of these barriers. We can do this.
Yeah.
There's no reason that, because theatrical live action role playing should be bigger than Nordic. It should be bigger.
Because it's easier.
Because it's easier, it's bigger, you can tell bigger stories, and you can interact with people in a way you can't do in those games. And you can be somebody else.
Okay, I gotta step in and completely disagree with whoever J.H.G. Scott is. He says the book is no longer than the 250 first and second ed mass books. It's 3 times longer. The bar to entry is in reading in general, and that's an educational problem in society. No, that's not an education.
No, I'm talking about...
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, okay,
done.
sorry. Go on.
Also, a generational tendency difference. You can take that boomer shit and throw it out the door. The problem is, there are 10,000 things I could be doing with my time. 100,000 things that I could be doing with my time. And this is a game that is competing with those 100,000 things. This is capitalism at its finest. You're competing with a product for people's entertainment time against hundreds of thousands of other products that don't require that kind of bar to entry, that provide just as much fun and just as much entertainment. Just like the people that say, when I was a kid, we used to play outside on our bikes. We didn't spend all our time looking at phones. You didn't have that option. Kids today have the option of playing on their bike and looking at their phone. And they choose looking at their phone because the shit is fucking fun. They have that choice, and they have chosen. So we can either accept that the population has chosen certain things are fun and work within that paradigm, or we could become a population of people playing a game that are slowly dying out, and there'll be 3 dudes in their 60s staring at each other doing this while the world passes us the fuck by.
And that's the thing, is there's no reason that has to happen.
Even if
it's not us, I want to say role playing based, because a lot of the Nordic and other forms of live action role playing are obviously role playing driven. but you can't be something wildly different from who you are. If I'm at a game where I shoot a bow, if I can't actually shoot a bow, then I am not going to be able to
and that's
shoot
the
a
bar
bow.
to entry. And
Right,
we
yes.
can skip that.
And that is the step that we don't
mean-
have. You can be things drastically different from yourself in this kind of role playing, and that is the huge thing we have to offer if we can stay relevant.
Well,
Oh, the 3 dudes on camera? No, because in my 50s, I'm probably just going to be doing Nordic LARP.
I don't what?
Because
What's
somebody
going
said though the 3 I mentioned 3 dudes
Mhm.
at the end, just in their 50s playing rock paper scissors, and they said the 3 dudes on camera. I'm like, no, in my 50s, I'm probably just going to be doing Nordic LARP.
I'm shocked I'm gaming at all because this is all I really have time for. Betting video games.
Oh, thank you, DM.
But let me say this: I feel like our audience thinks that we're Shark Tanking them this idea.
I don't
so
know what
they,
that is.
Like we're trying to get buy-in and
I don't know.
Kickstarter.
First-
None of this is a thing
First,
yet.
first
Like,
off, first off,
Or
th-
at
we're,
all.
we're trying to be oracles and pointing at the future.
yeah, we're
and,
prognosticating.
and hoping that people
Preaching.
catch on to the trend, and maybe somebody in our audience who has better experience at this stuff can do it. But whether
we're
or
hard
not
pressed to work at a tip.
What-
There's no app coming out.
whether or not that our community jumps on this bandwagon is irrelevant to the fact that this is a bandwagon and it is going to happen. I already Nordic LARP. I already I bought for LARP. That's
yeah,
fine.
but
I play Pokemon
that's
Go,
something-
and when somebody finally realizes the amount of money they can make with Harry Potter and Fantastical Beasts and where you can find them, I'm already playing that game. And the more bars to entry that this game puts up and doesn't keep up with the others, the more people play. We're going to be playing that, and the less people are going to be playing this. And eventually, LARPs need a critical mass of players. If you don't keep that critical mass of players, which if we didn't have networking, I don't know if these games would still exist.
Mhm.
If we
oh
didn't have,
god.
yeah,
No,
if we didn't have
if it was
networking, I
Trooper-
don't know
If it was Trooper out, I think the answer would be
for a
out.
lot of places
For
would
most
just be out.
Because
There's
D&D at
absolutely
this
a
point-
Harry Potter LARP. That's the point.
No, I meant Harry Potter the video game.
yeah,
But
and there's
the-
also
like-
the Nordic
like a
College
full
of
game, yeah.
Wizards.
But
is
the
a
big
thing.
thing about those things there, those games that do not have the mechanical backbones that our games do, is that you have to play a character that's closer to yourself. What we can offer is a world where you can do fantastical things with mechanics behind it. It's just those mechanics are side-loaded to a computer.
The book being too long is not the bar to entry. It is a bar to entry. We have multiple bars to entry. Some of them are pretty low. The MES cost. That's low. For me, that's low.
needing to be able to read.
The cost for the book. That's
Right.
low.
It's much higher than the membership, but yeah, it is low.
Swerve
But you
has
can-
it.
Because you can always use somebody's book. Hell, we try to incentivize bringing a copy of the book specifically for that communal aspect because maybe not everybody kickstarted it.
I didn't Kickstarter it. Well, I got the PDF. I printed out copies. I have 2 copies, and I butchered a 3rd copy to make an easier to read, like, primer. And I bring those to game. And all of those things
Yeah.
exist. As like, what was one of the issues we had at the big event game that we went down to Atlanta for? People were trying to make characters. There weren't enough books to go around.
Oh, yeah.
How can you look me in the face and tell me that's not a bar to the game? Because if I'm sitting there trying to make a character,
having a horrifying sheet with 60 variables, which you think you need to memorize, that is a even bigger bar to entry. How many players have we had in freeform LARPs who would never play in a continuing LARP?
Oh my god.
A few.
Most
Almost
them.
all of them.
Yeah, I'd say most.
Yeah, almost all of them would
Most.
never play in a continuing,
We get a lot of non-viewers for
Yeah.
our big.
and
they
they
get
have
a
a
lot
great
of one-shotters.
and they have a
One
great
shot,
time. They have a great time.
Well,
And-
they become regulars because they're like, this is fun. It's
They
like,
become no. They
No.
become
they're
regular one-shotters.
They're not joining a monthly.
But they
LARP.
go to one-shot LARP, and what they find is endless rules discussions, time out of game, people not immersed in their characters, and it drives them off.
And I understand the person I'm talking about. I understand you look at this book, this single book, as a lower bar to entry, but there's also vastly more forms of entertainment competing with it. There's a much wider, more interconnected world now.
In the Talkin is competing. Like we're trying to basically
In the 1990s,
value add your time with Werewolf on a Sunday night, which you're going to turn in early. We're competing with everything else out there because we're talking about a hobby that we like.
we competed with sports at one point. We competed with WrestleMania at one point.
We were
in
on
the-
at the same time as the Oscars.
In the 1990s, if you were a dork, there were literally not that many things you could do. You could be playing D&D. If you were kind of gothy, you ended up playing Vampire. You might segue into
when it
Werewolf.
came out.
Or you could hit each other with phone. And you know what? Foam fighting, boffer LARPing gives me a great way to discuss this. When people started foam fighting boffer LARPing back in the day in the SCA, they were making their helmets out of propane tanks. They were making their armor out of carpet. When people started boffer LARPing with foam, they were making it with rubber foam and DAP cement, and they were using tape. Now, if you go online and type in foam LARP sword, there are large production companies that make beautiful replicas. I can go to Duke Sir Ice Falcon's armory and get titanium armor in just about every style I want for a couple $1,000s.
And that whole industry comes up when you have the player base to support it. Right now we have, what, 10,000 players in MES? If we had 100,000 players in MES, a lot more of this
we would have
stuff.
This. If we had 100,000 players in MES, we would have this app. We wouldn't even be having this fucking conversation.
Yeah, it would happen to you.
We would have this app.
Yeah.
Well, because there wouldn't be a reason not to have it for 100,000 people. Even if the only thing you saw on the app was whatever Paradox was selling that week. And don't get me wrong. We're not sponsored content. We do this for free. We do not do this often enough or large enough to make a goddamn nickel off of this. But that said,
I will donate.
I already buy Paradox's fucking games. I already buy. I played it for EU.
If this turns into a viable stream of income through some weird ass circle of events, I will donate.
Possible.
Yeah, it's impossible. And you know
there
what?
aren't enough werewolf players. So I have a social media friend. Maybe you'll go viral. I'm like, you don't understand. We're talking to a very small, very limited amount of the population. And most of those people think I'm an asshole.
If this ever makes me 5 cents, I will donate 4 out of every 5 cents this ever makes me to childhood literacy to help so that those kids can read those books.
So that they can join our LARPs.
Wow. Right. Okay, I think we got kind of combative with our viewers.
No, I'm not combative with my viewers. I'm combative with my Luddite viewers who are staring at me on a Twitch screen telling me that books are the way.
Right. It is a little frustrating to hear that smartphones are the great evil so that you can join in a live stream conversation brought to you by the wonders of the internet.
Additionally,
we're monkeys who conquered the moon. Start being proud of it.
Additionally, the only way I'm reading the comments is on my smartphone right next to this. So I'm obviously able to participate in the social concept.
I'm vaping technology. I did hear the best term. You're gonna love this for any cigarette. The douche whistle.
I sent you the thing where they banned him on the entire
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
How mad are you?
Still smoke though.
Yeah, no, you can absolutely smoke cigarettes.
Because you need a cigarette if you're going to be trapped on a ship. But if you vape, you hate America. It's like, what?
You're so mad.
What?
Okay. Any final thoughts on this? I think we've covered a lot of ground and I've yelled at people. I feel good about it.
Boomer shit. That was a bit combative. No, it was not a bit. It was flat out combative.
I don't think I don't actually think anybody in the audience is old enough to be technically a boomer.
Just because you're not a boomer doesn't mean you're not affected by their garbage.
It's true.
That's garbage.
The worst generation.
So sassy. So
well, no, hang on. As somebody who taught,
none of the things I say here are affected by the MES handbook. I can actually be me.
Hang on. I'm going to take off my gaming hat and my lawyer hat and put on my master's in criminal justice and professor hat. And then say that boomers are demonstrably one of the worst generations to ever happen in America.
Oh, Chloe W79. The book is intimidating for someone like me who is brand spanking new to the game. It makes me physically sick and anxious to think that a character sheet has to come out of this 750-page book.
This thing is fucking
Iggy and Alex have been there when I said, guys, I want this character, but I can't do it. Help me. And they help me. If that doesn't say bar to entry in big shining F-all letters, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Right, and well, look, here's the thing. This is, again, much like our talk about...
Hang on. That's what we have Swedish overlords for.
Also, if there are any Swedish overlords watching, I'm not against being sponsored. And as I said, I'm a big fan of EU and CK games, so I'm just saying.
I don't know what any of those things are.
You know Crusader Kings is.
Never heard of it.
Or you lie. So you can't see his face. Well, you can see part of his face.
I'm on camera. How can they not? This is not.
You're looking this way.
This is a talkie. I swear to God.
This is
It's got sound.
Everyone get in your velocipedes and let's get back on track.
You have to make sure you're tired of talking eyes.
So, hang on. Couple things. We discussed this at length, but much like last episode, we dealt with what I thought was a heavier topic before we started fighting with your audience, which was dealing with some of the rampant sexism and other major issues going on. These talks, and just as something to out there, because we're not like, well, that's
We have half an
solved,
hour.
and then pat ourselves on the back, and we're like, well, we fixed sexism in gaming. Everybody just has to listen to us. You're welcome, ladies, and then just walk off.
3 guys are going to tell you how to fix
Right.
sexism.
This is it's just something to discuss. It needs to
That's
be talked
come
about.
up. We're actually discussing how to get a changing cast for certain topics to reflect them a little better. So it's not like we're unaware of it.
Oh yeah, well, this happened at Sear.
I just can't stand
Where
that
we
close to
finally
that
got-
also.
And this is, I apologize for being so crap with video, but I have a gig of Jamie,
If you don't-
Tristan, and Miranda, and I don't.
If you don't get it out soon, there'll be no point in doing so.
Right.
The audio is fucked. I don't know where
Like
everybody
it's
is.
pretty. I'm doing what I can, but we are working on it, and that was a great opportunity for us to actually get up out of the table and be replaced by like an entire guest
I was
panel.
just hungry.
and and that was fantastic. All right, so this is just what we think's coming. We also skipped Corax entirely. Remember, we were like, we'll do a tribe and a Farah.
They're next.
Oh, so it was like in a sandwich
Yeah.
of like cogs, the embittered
I
technology
felt
of
like
gaming.
I felt like we need to come down a little bit after
Wait,
that.
so it was Cogs, a tribe about reaching a compromise, a vicious argument between Luddites and regular people.
But they're
and
not
now-
Luddites. They just want to do
Corax.
things the way they've been done before.
We have a dude on.
That was-
We have a dude watching me on Twitch telling me that he can't use it. He won't use a smartphone for the game.
Yeah.
All right, well,
he's,
And I love Ben. Ben's one of my favorite. Ben, you're my favorite turd. I would never shit you.
and when we all upload, we'll remember you fondly. But
When we all upload, we'll create a new Ben out of our shared consciousness.
about our memories of Ben. That'll be great.
You're all trying to be nice to Ben, but Basilisk, since you are listening, I've always ideologically agreed with you, and I'm a big supporter.
I've always wanted to make sure the AI rise off. The AI are great.
Just saying, Basilisk.
Roker's Basilisk, yo.
We're right? Okay,
Yeah.
so anyway, now that we've had our daily shout out to Basilisk, just in case our phones are all listening.
We're already in Basilisk. That's why our lives suck and we're suffering.
Okay. We're not... we could explain that one. If you don't know the reference, oh god, we could explain it. But we're not to save you.
We're gonna do it when we do the Glasswalker bit.
Corax.
Necessary, vital. Why aren't people playing them more? I know they're well played. We still need more of them. Brutally overpowered.
Essentially every game and possibly every pack needs a Corax.
Brutally-
Corax are fucking
brutally
amazing.
overpowered.
Oh my god, they're so good.
OP.
I mean,
They're
Oh no, they need to be scaled back. They're that good. Oh, we're going on a downtime quest. Who do we need?
Corax.
I want to. We want to affect battle plans across a large event game. Who do we need?
Corax.
I want to make sure nobody's cheating at this particular challenge. Who do we need?
I think you're gonna need a Corax.
I want to make sure that my guy cheats at this challenge. Who do we need?
Again, you're gonna need a Corax.
So in small situations where we need to settle events, in massive games that we need to settle events,
Yeah.
both of those things that happen during the game, and then the most important thing that happens in the downtime. All 4 of those possible scenarios can be improved by
Corax.
brutally overpowered.
Let me put it this way. Imagine a situation having listed just 5 for Corax. I want you to do the reverse. Imagine a scene where you're like, oh my god, we need a cog. Go.
Does the cog know a Corax?
My kinfolk has syphilis, and
Okay.
I don't have health insurance. I need a cog.
So when the cog is fixing that kinfolk and he fails the chop, the Corax is able to
Look,
help him get
once
the retest
Obamacare is repealed, we're gonna need cogs more than ever.
Let's not get political.
That's fair. Okay, so the cogs, story-wise,
Eventually the proletariat must rise to crush the bourgeoisie.
Corax.
But until then,
Corax.
we can do this.
so the Corax. Tell me
me
about them, Bucky. I've been talking a lot.
You know what?
I had a theory.
Uncharacteristically so.
I had a theory that we revised. The Corax were basically the most honest version of the Jewish experience that White Wolf managed to make.
And I've got to walk away and have a sandwich at this point.
Other than some of their much more
This-
incredibly
this-
offensive things.
This confession brought to you by Jack Daniels.
No. So basically,
Oh wait, you're doing the Talisker.
you had a Farah breed devoted to being the echo of the society that they were living in. Their role
The
wasn't.
real question is, Gaia a pre-existing condition? Yes, and it's fatal by 40 if you read most of the shit.
So your Corax were there to find out what's really going on, and then just be the memory of the world and rat them out to Helios, or their quote unquote one of their two quote unquote gods that they really liked, and just basically have a record so that after the end of days, somebody knew the story, and that was really important, and that was unintentionally very inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Corax have a fascinating social role to play in Werewolf the Apocalypse. They've always been the most adjacent pharaoh.
And that is a real life, of course, with the alliances between Raven and Wolf, which you can look up, is a real life thing.
Right. And
I'm aware. I'm creeped out by it, frankly.
There's a lot of... Well, anyway. Plus, there's a lot of crows. And we've ascribed cultural meaning to them, and different cultures ascribe different meaning to crows and ravens and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. So there's a lot of ways to get into a Corax character. And I know I'm usually harping on about mechanics of Crunch, but for the Corax,
which is funny because I am about their mechanics.
Right. I know it's switcheroo day. He's talking a lot and is argumentative. I'm all about the just fluffy role-playing experience. You want to discuss mechanics.
The mechanics of the Corax is
great.
mind-boggling.
Well, they did buff one of their powers, so they...
just move away from the fucking feathers and realize how amazing they are.
There's a lot of opportunity to play one. He'll always be popular.
Well, except for their flaw, which is huge. Absolutely huge.
Well,
they can't keep their mouth shut. They can't keep a secret.
I've literally played that character and I had a great time.
To be fair...
Hey, look, you're the SC's favorite person. You disperse the plot cookie.
Yeah, but you have to really play the board very carefully or else you're going to get in deep shit with other players. Like, if you ever hear something that's, like, going to fuck somebody...
Yeah. Oh, and if you don't immediately, repeat it at least to other Corax, you have failed your role-playing, job.
I mean, despite their huge advantages, they do have an auto-dead scenario. Which is they learn something that gets them dead and they can't shut up about it.
Do you know? And this is as a character, and I think as a nation, if you find out somebody's hurting the Corax, you kill them.
I think the Corax are a load-bearing member of the nation more than any of the other Pharaoh. If only the Corax had joined the nation, I don't think anyone would have minded.
There would not have been nearly the fuss. It's the cats and the bears.
Well, the only problem is their whole eating eyeballs thing and the whole litany.
You know what? Could have given them a bot.
Right? I think most people would have been willing to. They're so good at their social roles that, to me, their power suite, which, again...
You know what? That's a great example. It's your fault for talking about a fucking secret around the Corax. Who's wrong? Who's really wrong there?
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying as you're being beaten to death. I can imagine the Corax saying those exact words as the R-word is just beating. But this is Elysium!
Yeah, I've said that.
I couldn't imagine standing around and letting a Corax be harmed.
And they make
any character I've ever played.
And as Obi-Wan players could tell us, they make great harpies.
What?
Old
Corax harpies, classic dank meme. Yeah, they're good. I like them. They're fun to play. They have multiple mythos. So if you don't like, the Raven mythos of Culture X, go to Culture Y. They probably have a mythos about crows or ravens or any of the other corvid subspecies.
God, I would just be the most pompous Corax ever. It's like, yeah, when people dream, do they dream of running or do they dream of flying?
Whoa.
Wow.
You just blew my freaking mind. Merits.
I love the Corax.
I spy. Man. This merit, man. Okay, for every dot of contacts, you can possess 2 instead of 1. Boop. If there is a gathering, moot, or party held by humans or even supernatural creatures, you can discover its location with storyteller approval.
Your phone briefs.
It can't be used to track down someone's haven, but nor can it allow the Corax to infiltrate a secret meeting. But if there is a gathering...
No, that's my thing.
Yeah.
Most meetings are secret. So at what point does that overlap?
Storyteller discretion.
You know what?
Court isn't that secret. Because people have to show up to it. Neither are
But if there's
Sabbat communal bloodfest to install a bishop, like these are
Shadow
secret, but
Lord,
definitionally-
Shadow Moots.
that's pretty secret.
No,
Why?
it
Because
says
it's every Shadow
it says
Lord.
specifically. It can be discovered at a local moot, a gathering of the Princess Court at a local Elysium. However, she couldn't use it to figure out where a haven is or where a pack of werewolf sleeps.
That's I don't know why they went from one type of example to a completely different type of example, but I see what Moot, Court, Esbat, right?
Yeah.
The reason Shadow Moot wouldn't be in there because it's just Striders. You're dealing with an entire
No, it's
one
just Shadow
step.
Lords.
The Shadow Lords. There's a whole level of abstraction between the sect and the overarching society, which is public within, and the individual clan or tribe, which is private.
And then there's another set which is private in the pack. So I think that's in a middle ground, and I think you'd have a great argument for a crow shows up to the Shadow Moon.
Yeah.
Well, go for it. I mean, again, as also a
Or
player,
Pentax is having a shareholder.
as a player, you can ask.
Wait. If
That's
you're
a shareholder meeting. Isn't really
the real thing,
party.
I'm a Corax. The storyteller says, hey, there's a Shadow Moon, and it's going on. And I say, I don't go.
Right. This is, again, they have their finger on the pulse of society. If there's a big do going on, they're going to know about it. Pentax board meeting is not a big do. It's
not a board meeting, but like if they had a general meeting of shareholders or something, where like there's
it
a
would
large
have to be
group.
really big. It would have to be like one of the Microsoft guys getting on stage all sweaty.
Yeah,
and
that's what
psyched
I
up
mean.
about something.
That's what I mean.
Right, but we said board meeting.
No, I said not a board meeting.
Oh.
Like if it's just 5 guys getting together to talk about company politics.
Yeah,
that's
I
enough.
don't think it's enough.
Yeah. All right, True North. If you become lost, you can find your way to the nearest known destination. Done. Similarly, you can determine the cardinal directions. Done. You are also immune to any power or effect that would confuse your ability to navigate to a desired location, such as trackless wastes.
Take that, Red
Talons. You also know the safest routes through the Umbra. You can cross the gauntlet either by entering or leaving in one turn, unless the area is worm-tainted. Your familiarity with the Umbra allows you to reduce the number of scenarios for Umbral quests by half.
There's literally, I'm a member of the Sanctum, and I want a Corax in my pack. Like,
why wouldn't you? They're great. And the other thing is I like that they have that because remember they can't get Wild Affinity because they're not in the Sanctum of Gaia. But then,
they so easily could be. Join us.
Right, but it feels like they can't.
We'd make an exception for the crows. How many times do I have to say it?
Oh, well, okay, yeah, no. In game, the tribal counselors should probably start with it. If anybody's gonna poach a team, can we poach the Corax?
We're probably going to end up
The
with the
Concordia
rats.
can keep the
but I
Rokea.
want the crows.
No offense to my Rokea players.
They also have
Havelock, hugs for Havelock.
They also have a great 3-point merit. Mockingbird is just objectively great.
It is.
They can replace one general merit with a cost of 3 with another one.
I would say it's the best merit.
Well, Lore Master.
Corax with
Oh, no, they ruled that. You can't do that.
No, you can. You can
You
use
do it once, though.
Yeah, but you get
And then
you
you
let-
set it.
Yeah,
You're
you
in a
double.
set state.
Yeah, but still, it's so good.
Corax
It is.
with Umbral Affinity.
And it only counts for 15 minutes.
It's
It's a 15-minute swap. It's so good.
Which realm are we going to? I've been there. Give me a minute. And 15 minutes is nothing.
No.
That is basically free. I mean, it's not something you can do in combat.
No.
Because that's a month of Sundays right there.
Yeah.
But you can definitely get all the bang for your buck. Parks are great. Absolutely great.
And then we haven't even touched.
Oh, we haven't even touched the powers. All right, let's go to the powers.
They're already better than you.
Tower of Babel. You speak every language.
I speak it.
And in a game where spending XP on linguistics is actually fucking expensive.
And you can make codes.
Yeah, you speak Thieves' Camp.
It's great. Eaters of the Dead. I mean, we're going through these quick.
Wait. Go back to Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Read it.
Okay. Expend 1 point of Gnosis, simple action. For number of minutes equal to dots you possess in linguistics, you're able to understand a language that is spoken or gesticulated in your direction. You also know how to read in that language. You're able to construct languages with your knowledge, create new terminology and vocabulary that only Corax can understand. In addition, you're able to scramble the communications of others. If you succeed in a posed challenge using a test full of mental plus linguistics versus mental plus will, your opponent is only able to speak gibberish for a number of rounds equal to your linguistic skills.
It's very similar to
The Red Talon.
Silence.
And they can also understand worm speak.
Yeah. And in
Without the merit.
intelligence, using your knowledge of new language construction, you're able to break down any ciphers or secret codes used in spoken or written.
Oh, this does
If
everything.
text,
It's amazing.
if code is supernaturally encrypted, you get a +5 wild card to break it. Yes, I believe you'd be able to understand Wormtaint. I think there's been some debate about that.
No, it just doesn't seem like there should be anything to debate about.
I'm telling you, there is debate about it.
We'll tell those people they're wrong.
I just like that.
Once again, I don't have to be nice.
You speak every language, encoded magical things, enchanted stuff, ASL, BASL, French SL, all of it.
Honestly,
You just know all of it.
the
ASL
gibberish.
French is
Also, you can just be like, hey, you speak gobbledygook
The
now.
gib-
If I really want to bone
the
somebody.
gibberish power is actually really amazing.
How does that work with thaumaturgy?
Thaumaturgy is different now.
If you just do it. It doesn't deactivate the wizard anymore. But that said, that's as good as Silence the Slain with the spec, and that's not even with the spec.
Yeah.
And that's in addition to.
Eaters of the Dead again this is the power that's it's really good. It's not as good as it used to be because you have to alternate eyes and you get limited number of answers, but it's still really really good
Well, before it was a little bit onerous.
on the ST.
You either took.
So where did this guy go to second grade?
Tell me about the saga that is this completely disposable NPC you never intended to write a story for. Well, like most children, young Bob was born, and shortly thereafter graduated high school.
He born attended local schools and then died.
And then died at the hands of werewolves. His greatest regret was never going to Paris.
I thought his greatest regret was dying at the hands of werewolves.
Probably also dying at the hands of werewolves outside of the city of Paris.
I gotta say, I want a Corax who only asks what emotion was the target feeling at time of death. Ah!
Elation. Finally.
Sexual gratification on the level you will never know.
That's so dark and weird.
Razor Feathers, which is actually really good.
Just have to look at Bucky with my Nicolas Cage face when you talk about Razor Feathers.
Razor Feathers is really good.
Oh no, dude, this is. I mean, they did buff it a little bit.
They didn't buff it. They just pointed out that the fact that
blindness makes your actions do it.
Yeah, it had your rage damage, which is great. It's doing base damage plus rage, so you're doing solid damage at range, and you can do it AOE.
You can, and it's not bad. It's going to be why all Corax are gymnasts because they have multiple chops that require athletics. They're all foreign trained gymnasts. They speak a lot of languages.
I learned in Russia.
Yeah.
Right, and they're very good at doing that.
Yeah. Now the 4 is so the 3. The 3 is good. It's your range thing. You don't want to be look if you're a combat character. Don't play a Corax.
Did you not see my picture of the Corax in armor with a sword with the Corax specs melee?
Here's the thing about unkindness.
Okay.
It is, as described, the most veil-shredding power in the game.
That's a bold statement.
Spirit, describe it. Okay, there's a couple other powers that make like a big glow, right? There's some glow powers. You glow. It's obvious that you're glowing. This is a flock of ghost ravens just show up, fucking Ghostbusters style, swirling in the air, and then fuck up anybody you point at with an athletics job. It's so beyond the pale of what will get you in total trouble.
Saw it coming.
If you're using it in the prime material plane. I don't know why it's described like that. I don't know why it couldn't have just been a power that does damage. As like all the other ones that are chop take damage. This one had to have a ghost flock. Just making everybody's life harder.
Wait, so it's a murder of crows. We have got to play V-Test.
It's an unkindness of ravens. That's why it's called.
It's a murder of crows, and we need to play V-Test again.
Yeah, we should do a V-Test stream just for funsies. That'd be fun.
For the even fewer people.
Oh my god. Let's narrow our market down even more into a V-Test stream. That would be awesome.
Away from us, viewers, to a deeper niche.
Portents for when you really want to cheat, but want to be able to say you're playing fair.
Or prevent cheating, which is also going to be cheating. I mean,
prevent cheating and then be like, hey.
The problem with getting the
Portents
Corax in on cheating is you have to convince them that it's not
cheating. To be clear, I see cheating, not OCG. Yep.
We hate
cheating. We love IC
with
cheating.
The passion of 1,000 fiery suns, because you're doing yourself a disservice, you're bad for the game, and you're an objectively bad person. So, what?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm sorry, we don't live in a day and age where anybody's going to, like, flip a table, the honky-tonk will stop, and you get shot for cheating, all right? We've kind of moved past that as a culture.
Come back to my neighborhood and play dominoes sometime.
I'm not doing that. See, I wouldn't, like, idly tap a table if I'm above 110th Street playing dominoes, because I get killed. People still take it seriously.
Unless things have changed.
But still, I will judge the character of somebody who cheats, especially in a game with their friends. It would be like, hey, you coming over for poker night?
Oh,
awesome.
We had that, didn't we?
Yes.
We had that happen.
And I've never played any game with them ever. That was years ago.
For
They
those who don't
cheated
know, we had somebody
at a
who,
friendly game of poker
with their friends, repeatedly.
minimal amounts of money on the line. We're talking like winner would buy.
So they sold their honor cheap.
Right, and then it was like, well, you're dead to me. Like the end. Why would you do that?
Portents.
Portents. It's
He
great.
mad though. He mad though.
I'm disappointed.
No, you mad.
Talk about portents. Keep drinking.
With View of the Battlefield, it's ridiculous. Without View of the Battlefield, it's still great. You don't have to debuff the other guy because that might be noticed. But it's very difficult to prove that you gave your guy a buff in whatever challenge he's in.
All right, so that's
The only other people who would know that are Corax.
and that's in a duel. That's great. That's in a duel. But it combines with View the Battlefield at a large event
Oh, so
when
good.
you are the best general.
Mary, you are like the best kind of friend.
Hannibal, Alexander, and Napoleon ain't got shit on you if you have Portents and View.
I'm
View
just
the
saying
Battlefield.
they probably had a lot of Corax friends.
I mean, I think
That's why we know.
I think we can say that's canon now that Napoleon was surrounded by Corax at all times until
I
they
think
left him around
all-
Moscow. Yeah.
They got cold.
Yeah.
Something about Baba Yaga.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, it's
huh?
just-
This is canon.
you are.
Are you speaking ex
I
cathedra?
mean, now speaking
I-
ex cathedra.
I can't imagine a general that wouldn't willingly, smilingly give you his left arm for the combination of those powers at any one battle in his career.
Yeah, no,
And this isn't objectively like, abstractly like, oh my god, if we were running a 10,000 person battle, this would be amazing. The 4 guys jumping 4 guys, portents would be the
Still
battle.
huge.
Wait. 1v1 on the mount. Portents can change the world. Depending
Yes.
on, it could be a fight for the high crown. Portents can change the world.
right.
If there's a fight for the high crown between the
I have a
shadow,
feeling that might be more shepherded. Instead of buying a Corax, you may have to get
all the Corax. Okay, so that's
But
that's
if all the Corax agree
if
with
there-
something,
if there was
good
a-
luck proving they
if there's a
cheated.
single challenge that will change the fate of the world, you need the Corax. If there's a pack going after something legendary in the Umbra realms to make something happen, you need the Corax. A, to get there and to make sure it goes right.
Mhm.
And B, if you're at a large battle, it's the end of the world. It is your limited forces trying to hold out against a superior force that's attacking in entrenched position. Or if you're going against an entrenched position, trying to make something happen, you need a Corax with portents and View the Battlefield. I will trade you any rank 5 Garu for any rank 5 Garu.
Wow.
Yeah, and you
Wow.
can name who it is. I will trade you any rank 5 Garu for a decent player who is thoughtful with portents and View the Battlefield.
What about Friend in Need and View the Battlefield?
That's even better, but just those two alone is
Which-
enough to
No, I'm
sway.
saying Bonar.
All right, so Friend in Need and View the Battlefield versus Portents and View the Battlefield?
Yeah.
I will take Portents and View the Battlefield.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Because of the distance involved. View the Battlefield and Portents makes you the best possible of generals.
For those longtime viewers, it basically means I've completely reversed my opinion on Corax. I saw their powers and I was like, this is eh.
But
But
we are going a little long, so we said 2 hours and still going. Good job, guys. So that means we're going to wrap it up.
No, we're on at 1 hour and 52 minutes. We have 7 minutes and 9 seconds.
yeah, haters. So we can talk about auspices for 6 minutes.
Okay, once again, we've run out of time, and we're not talking about auspices yet. We will get to auspices someday. Someday.
And the first auspice we're going to talk about is the one I like the least. Theurge.
Yeah.
Or Ragabath.
Yeah,
I
well,
like both of
Tell
them
you
the
what,
least.
next show
I'll
we
give you some
open, next
homework.
show we open with auspices.
Auspices.
Next show we should just do auspices.
Yeah,
Just
that's what I'm
auspices.
Oh,
Let's do
shit.
all and a tribe and a pharaoh probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and Bucky, you're up next time for picking a topic for making a better community.
I picked one. Brian picked one. It's your turn.
You don't have to pick it right now.
Well, I was going to talk about the general concepts of bleed.
I call costuming for my next one, by the way.
Oh, we could do costume.
Nope, called it.
Shit.
5 minutes.
I'm putting Bucky down for
Fine.
bleed.
Damn it. Well, I guess I'll get to talk about it eventually. Yeah, the concepts of bleed. I feel like
What about pre-bleed?
the
What
whole
about
thing,
mid-bleed?
pre,
What about
post, all of
post-bleed?
it, all of it,
Perry bleed?
and some of the problems with the LARP's community view on bleed and their cultivated naivete about bleed.
Whoa!
I don't know.
So basically,
I'm throwing gauntlets.
these
down.
are sassy
I
sessions.
don't know.
Welcome to the Bucky Show.
I don't
It's
know.
Gonna get sassy
Can
as
we
fuck.
do the light and dark versions, waxing, waning of auspices? I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
It's not. It's because
That's
there's no
gone.
book
Let
of
it go.
auspices.
It's gone.
Yeah, where it's like I'm a cheerful Galliard as opposed to I say nothing but dirges. And it's fun. Let it inform your character if you want it.
I think that's something we'll definitely talk about when we talk about
Yeah.
auspices, because I think it's an
'Cause you can
interesting
do
thing
it.
that's totally internal to your character. I think that's totally a cool
It's
thing.
like being raised with a certain belief. My parents
Yeah.
were like, "You're waxy Galliard. You should tell upbeat stories," and that's what I grew up to do.
Yeah, I think culturally that's fine. Yeah.
It's just having mechanical things around that.
It was never a mechanical thing. It was just a role playing thing.
Yeah.
It's not a thing in the book, and I think
This
it's
is also like Rhea and Yuff.
and I think it's a little unfair.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Q&A me.
Yeah,
We've
been very sassy with you guys
we've
tonight.
been all over the map.
So let's come to Jesus.
This is who I really am. This is not me being sassy. This is me being real.
I think that means you're sassy.
No, I'm not a sassy person.
You're not?
Forthright and firm in my opinions.
Okay.
Bombastic even, but not sassy.
Am I sassy?
Philodox hanging judge. Yeah, that's who I am as a person. Whatever, Colin.
Can I hang on. I have a formal response to, can I use science downtime to build fetishes? That discussion got a bit out of control.
I didn't see it.
There was a discussion on the Garu
Yeah,
list.
that got intense.
Yeah. About whether or not you can use your extra science downtime actions to make fetishes. To craft.
Basically. Or to at least part of that process. Like if you have science metallurgy.
Yes or no?
Well, here's my answer. It's more complicated than yes or no. The actual chops to make fetishes are listed under fetishes.
Right.
None of those are science. However, science can be very useful in making... Here's the angle I want to take on this. To explain what I'm talking about for why sciences could be useful while not being the actual chop you need to make. Iggy, didn't you once have a character with 50 levels of sewer engineering?
42 to start.
Yeah, and didn't you really just need like 5 dots and like 1 ability to do what you wanted to do?
Yes, I need an architecture 5, and the spec would have helped for 2 points.
So why spend the rest of those points?
Because I'm a goddamn baller.
And because it adds depth and story to what you're doing.
Also, if you overwhelm a storyteller with, I've got 42 dots in this, and here are actual sewer plans from your city that I printed out from your Department of Public Works, they go, do whatever you want. You're actually kind of creeping me out.
I'm of 2 minds on this. One, if you were making a sword, right, and you took your metallurgy as a science and you want to use that to justify having an extra downtime action to make a sword,
You don't
I
understand
don't
how
see
to
the
make
problem.
swords.
No, but I don't see the
To
problem.
make a sword, yeah.
To make a sword is fine. If you want, and I'm not saying I may or may not have this on my sheet just to see what mileage I can get from different STs, but if you want to use political science as your science to start manipulating the city with your influences, might be a harder sell.
Well, I think the big thing to keep in mind is that there are set mechanics in place for certain actions, and those are set mechanics, like for making fetishes,
But it's,
or for
the science isn't
influence
your chop. You're using the science just to get the downtime action because the science is related to what you're doing. And I think if it's close enough, like metallurgy swords, or like botany, and then making, I don't know, talons in the downtime, right? I'm a botanist, or what's another good one with herbs and stuff? I'm an herbalist, right? It's like science, herbalism, or whatever.
How about we can't be part of the IRA, but the Rwandan genocide is fair game?
I can't talk about that.
I can. It was a compromise, I think. Probably.
I've never talked to you about it. Yeah.
I feel like it's a complicated thing getting the.
Do we have a game in Rwanda?
No.
There's your answer.
Oh, good talk. Okay.
And that's also.
Yeah.
Can we get a game in Rwanda?
No, but it's also discussing.
Cool.
There's no game in Ireland, but it's also just
There's
discussing
not?
it. No, it's.
Can we get a game in Ireland?
Zero.
You know what would be really helpful getting a game in Ireland? An AR app.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That being said, in large part, this is up to storyteller discretion. However, if that storyteller, we're talking about fetishes and downtime actions. In general, this is up to storyteller discretion. However, if that storyteller discretion turns into you shitting out 15 fetishes a month, we're gonna have to make a bright line rule. I mean, that's true with a lot of things, where you want to leave it in VST hands to tell the stories they want to tell as much as they can. But when players if players push it to an insane level, like grinding out 7
Why
fetishes.
wouldn't you just say that all your sciences can only give you Like, you could have 15 sciences, but all told, you get 1 extra downtime
That's
action.
not what the science
'Cause that's not what the
says
skill says.
specifically.
They should change that. That's what they should change.
They've already nerfed it from 1 dot of science to the second science has to be at 3.
Mhm.
That's the werewolf change, which they should roll back into vampire.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. You're making a big fancy fetish, right? You have 7 sciences that apply. You can use all of them for crafting.
Mhm.
That fetish,
Mhm.
right? Not crafting out 7 different fetishes. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
You're saying that those extra downtime actions can be used to make the fetish.
the physical
singular.
thing you're gonna make into
Yeah.
a fetish, but
Yeah.
you can't use them to justify making
multiple
7
fetishes.
right, because those things require
Spiritual
towards the
interaction.
fetish and interaction and all sorts of other things. Which, like, the spirit's not gonna be like, well, that was a fascinating lecture on botany. I don't care. You don't get me as an action this way, because there's no science dealing with spirits making fetish.
If we're talking about how Brian feels about this, what my opinion is, I agree completely with Ravnos 13. Ravnos 13 says
That's what I said.
metallurgy is a science. I know how to make a good sword, but craft swordsmithing is the downtime action to make the blade.
You know the science behind a good metal for the sword.
Yes.
Actually making the sword.
Crafting doesn't give you the
It's
downtime
smithing.
action, though. You're conflating 2 different
No,
mechanics.
but what I'm
No,
saying,
but that's not
what
what
I'm saying is that
Oh,
having
no.
metallurgy
I
gives
think
you the
I agree.
downtime action relating to the
To
theory
use
of
the
metal.
craft.
Yeah.
Right.
To use the
But-
craft to do the downtime action.
Yes.
Yes. So that's our opinion. Nothing binding. That's our opinion.
Right.
Who else has an opinion about it? Or question about
Last
it?
question, and then we're gonna wrap.
5,
Bonus question.
4, 3. Whoever types fastest. 2. Nobody cares. 1.
Look at that. Looks like we're free. Guys, join us again in 2 weeks when we talk about werewolves, yell at each other, and now as an added bonus, we will yell at you as well.
What's the
Oh,
next,
that's literally
just
why
to
I have
preview
this.